All right, so I guess we can start. And the first item was welcoming our new commissioner, but I guess we'll do it later since she's not here. On another note,
sorry, Paula, can we ask that people who are not speaking turn on mute, please?
Yes, please be turned on mute.
I think okay.
On the other end, we have here Joseph Mazzola, who has just been appointed to the commission by the mayor, and is here, and he is already coming to the meeting, although he still has to go through the process of being appointed by committee and then by city council altogether. So Joseph, so glad that you're here, and so glad that you'll be if everything goes well, you'll be a commissioner in the near future.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Excellent.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Great. Okay, great.
All right. So we can go right away to item number 3, which is review of minutes of August 29th and September 12th. And I just have a very brief comment on them as soon as I open them.
I don't really see any issues with the minutes from September.
Let me just, okay, so that was, yes, neither do I. I think for the August minutes, just a couple of things. Let's see. So on point 3, Chair Ferrario spoke of the timeline to apply for Massachusetts Historic Tax Credit application. It's actually to apply to request letters for.
Okay.
Letter of support for.
Now that I'm looking at this a little closer, I'd just like to note on number 9, there's nothing between my name and the words environmental racism. So I think I'd just like to throw in a little word there that says express concerns about environmental racism as opposed to calling it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Other than that,
it looks great, Chris.
Yeah, I move that we accept the minutes for September 12th.
I second.
So we have the motion is to accept the minute for, what was the date? Sorry, guys.
September 12th.
For September 12th. Commissioner Gauthier?
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Okay. So how far back are we actually going at this point with regard to review of minutes?
Wait, we have to look at the August ones.
August as well. Okay. Well, we have the meeting from the 29th, which is a relatively short meeting. I feel like that is a very quick review. Am I the one for the 29th? Oh, no. Oh.
I think it also looks great for me.
Yeah, I find that the information regarding 245 High Street is very important to include in these minutes, specifically because of the nature of the project. The only thing I wonder about that we might consider including as part of the new ordinance, wherever in the minutes it might be noted, a letter will be drafted and forwarded. Do we want to potentially include a time frame for that so that we have it in writing and that everybody's on the same page? We can refer back to documents and say the letter will be submitted by this date or by this deadline or what have you. Is that something that we're interested in, or is that a slippery slope?
I'm sorry, and you're talking about letter for...
I'm just talking about in general within the minutes. So if we look at number 5, for instance, or number, whoa, we jumped from 3 to...
Yeah, that's the only...
So it's number 3, but it's before number 6. And if you scroll up just before it says Commissioner Aubrey, it says letter will be drafted and forwarded. I just wanted to know, is that something we want to be including specific information that it will be done by the next Historic Commission meeting or, you know, the CPA deadline or whatever?
Well, we didn't say a date.
I'm sorry, I can't find it. What point? What number point?
It's right above number 6.
Oh, okay. So point number, are you talking about the line right above number 6 or the point 3 that is right above number 6?
It's right above where it says my name. It says letter will be drafted and forwarded. And then it says copy of tonight's presentation will be provided to commission. So just making sure that we're noting in the future, do we want to include any sort of deadline dates for things that we need to follow up on?
Well, actually, you know, it's interesting because there's actually there is a document for procedure on how we do these letters, which I think we'll leave the minutes like that, but I wanted to bring it up to the commission for consideration, because actually the protocol that we have now is that the commission approves to write a letter and then leaves it to staff and the chair to write the letter. And I really want to change it back where I want your approval for all the letters.
Okay.
I mean, it's open for discussion.
Okay. All right, well, that's kind of a secondary point. But otherwise, I think these minutes are accurate for the most part. And
that's what actually we've been doing. We've been despite our rule, we have been having the commission approve the letters. But I don't think we need to do that so much. One of the things that we did far back, we have the dates when the letters for tax credit are due at Mass Historic. And so I have been telling applicants already, get it to us at least a month in advance, even better 2 months in advance. And we can discuss it at the next minute, so it will be on minutes. I think that's a good thing to do.
Okay, well, I make a motion to approve the minutes of August 29th.
Hold on. Before they're approved, though, Chris, there are the number like these because we went out of order?
We went out of order.
Okay, very good. All right, great.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alana.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. I think the only thing we're missing is the name of the people who have a line next to them. So I don't know how we would, does anybody know those persons' names? Under attendees, there's 2 blank lines, that's all.
Hey, look.
Well, are we looking at the same? I have J. Brains.
Yeah, everything's there.
And Doug Kelleher and Liz Blank of Blank and Associates. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that would be Liz Rodriguez. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just signed on. I just got out of work.
No. Are you?
I'm sorry?
Are you part of the, I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if that's you, Liz.
Yeah, I'm Liz too, so I don't know.
Who is presenting to the commission. That's
yeah.
who.
Oh, okay.
Liz Rochefort. Okay, her name is listed down below, but we don't have the name of the group.
It was, I think I was checking on the spelling.
Okay. So her last name is Rochefort, Rochefort. Okay. And then I don't know the name of the associates is.
Okay, anything else?
Anybody else?
Let's please move forward on this.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for August 29th, 2022.
I second that.
The motion is to approve the minutes for August 29, 2022. Commissioner Gauthier?
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
And just pro forma, I don't think Commissioner Lisbeth probably should abstain because she wasn't there.
Correct.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
About this motion, it's to approve minutes, but you cannot verify the minutes because you were not there. So it is advised that you would abstain from voting.
Okay.
So you say I abstain.
I abstain.
Wonderful. Motion carries, and we can go to the next item.
So Paula, how are we gonna work out this part of the agenda, the CPA application? Okay. What is the structure here?
All right. So first of all, we are going to and let me see who is here. We have Alec for 106 120 High Street. No, I'm sorry. Vlad is here for okay, raise your hand. Who's here for 106 120 High Street? Okay, perfect. So Alec and Vadim. So we have William. I'm not
okay.
Walford. What project are you here for?
Wright's block over at 106 to 120 High Street.
Also terrific, great. Where? And then we don't seem to have any of the other presenter. But basically the way
we have here Megan from Wisteriahurst.
Who?
Megan from Wisteriahurst, and we have Olivia Mausel as well.
Oh, okay. There was one
more. Maybe change your view, your gallery view.
Yeah. Now I see everybody. I had to do one more click. Okay, so Olivia is here for the City Hall basement document, and Megan is here for Wisteriahurst.
Yes.
So, so this is how I would like to proceed, and I believe 122 Front Street. I received an email that the gentleman, Mr. Owen, that owns that building, is withdrawing his application. It was an informal letter that he sent to me. but I have not gotten an official confirmation from Amy.
Okay.
And excuse me, if I could.
Somebody was speaking?
So, yes, Madam Chair, this is Don Sanders for the toll ticket booth.
For the ticket booth?
For the ticket booth,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
very
I just
good.
wanted to, I'm sorry, yeah, just so you know.
Okay.
Someone,
Hi, Don.
yeah,
Hello, Don.
I'm here for that. Hello,
All right.
how are you?
Very good. So probably we should go through determining historic significance first of projects, and then we can go to scope of work. So 106, 120, High and Wisteria Hirsch only go through scope of work because they are already historically significant buildings. What is the pleasure of the commission? Where would you like to start?
I think we should start with all the projects that already have a scope of work, so they're complete, so we can just have a larger discussion with the historical relevance.
Okay.
I think you should go in order for the folder that we have.
Okay, very good.
106 High Street, and then 120 Front Street, and then on and on.
All right, let me get to, oh, no, okay, so, but before we do that, so we have Tyler Kane here, which is you were sent the contract for him. And this is a consultant that we are looking to hire to review the scope of work for us. We were in front of the PCP Preservation Committee on Monday night, and they approved him to do the work for us. So for $480, he will assist us and actually do most of the work in reviewing the scope of work for this building. Make sure that what they want to do is compliant with the rule of the Secretary of State, and also that we'll be able to put a preservation restriction on this building. And he will write short reports that PCP can have to see if the scope of work is legitimate. So did you all get a chance to review his contract and his credential? Taylor owns his own architectural firm, has been very involved in projects that require the experience of knowing about historical preservation and restoration and the scope of those and limit of those projects. And for us, it will be hired for 6 hours, 2 hours tonight, 2 hours to review in depth the proposal with new material if necessary, and 2 hours to write short reports.
Paula, can I suggest that based on the fiscal year 23 eligibility submissions Excel spreadsheet that we go in that order? So if Mr. Owen removed himself, then we would go to Wisteria Hearst, and then after that we would go down to, well, it doesn't appear that somebody for 304 Elm Street is currently at this meeting, or is that Olivia's?
That's Olivia.
Okay. Okay.
But before we have to approve this consultant.
No, I understand. I'm just suggesting in an effort to move forward after we do that, if we could just stick to the list.
Absolutely.
I make a motion that we approve and support the CPA in paying for Thomas to assist us in this process.
I second that.
No. The motion is not correct.
Okay.
We are approving the contract. That we are approving the contract
Okay.
to hire Taylor Kane as a consultant to CPC and the Historical Commission.
Okay.
Please do it
I
again.
make a motion that we approve the contract for Thomas Kane as part of the scope of work. Yeah, CPA projects.
Sorry, is Taylor or Thomas? I'm like confused.
Tyler.
Tyler.
Sorry, I apologize.
So, please, you know, I think we should be, it's important to go over the packet and see what we have.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I make a motion that we approve the contract for Tyler Kane for 6 hours, is that it? At a cost of $480.
I second that.
Okay, the motion is to approve the contract proposed by Taylor Kane to review scope of work per project in assistance to CPA, to CPC and the Historical Commission. Councilor Gauthier.
Yes.
Councilor Salazar. Councilor Salazar?
I said yes.
Oh, Councilor Audrey?
Yes. Aubrey.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The contract is approved. And I'm signing it right now. Meg signed it earlier. And we are all set. All right.
Mr. Kane, we promise the next time to remember your name correctly.
Just happy to be here. No problem.
Thank you.
Paula.
Yep.
Lisbeth, do you have all the materials for tonight's meeting?
I do. It's in the email. I couldn't review it all.
Okay, just want to make sure you've got everything.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, good.
I am just signing the document so that it will have a time that is before we start. Done. Very good. Okay, so let me go to the projects so we can put them on the screen. Oh, actually, and so if we start with Wisteria Hirsch, Megan, would you like to do a presentation?
Sure. Yeah, if you can allow me to share screen, I've got it loaded and ready to go.
Excellent. Jen, Ms. Keith, okay, perfect. So you should be allowed to share screen now.
Oh, okay, let me see. Sorry, it's being...
And please, people who are not speaking, please turn your microphone off if you're in a noisy situation.
Okay, let me see if that works. So sorry,
That's okay.
I had to download a new version before joining and it's telling me to choose my preferences. So I don't know if it's possible for you to open the document at all.
I can. Hold on. Let me go to it. Okay. All right, I'll share screen. Jen, I appear not to be a co-host anymore. It's telling me I can't share screen.
Okay, hold on one second.
Sure, sure.
Thought I made you co-host. There you go. You should be all set now.
Excellent.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So, Wisteria Hearst Museum. Here we go.
Okay, so our project is preservation planning and damage restoration at Wisteria Hearst Museum. And the next slide, I think this is a three-part project to address major issues with the masonry work at Wisteria Hearst Museum. And this is just showing that we are a nationally recognized historical building. And the next slide, if you can move down. So the first part of this project is really getting an engineering survey of the property, specifically detailing the overall condition of the building with a focus on the masonry work that's needed. So as you can see from these photos here, there is repointing that needs to be done on the foundation, but then it also needs to be recovered to repair the facade of the house. So there's spots around the property where it's just really, you can see how the covering of the bricks has like fallen off. And we'd really like to get that repaired so that we're not getting any more leaks into the basement, and so that also it looks how it should. This grant will not only help us really be able to write a good scope of work for any contractors, but also help us with, securing funds through like mass preservation grants or capital funding grant, Mass Cultural Council capital funds grants in the future to kind of help get this project moving, because it's going to be kind of a huge deal. And if you can go to the next slide. So the next step after we get the engineering survey, the one thing that we do know that really needs to be taken care of right away is we have one chimney on the second floor that has a very active leak. And we had Western Mass Masons come out. They've done work on the property before. And I asked him, he said, all of the chimneys look like they're in need of repair. But again, this is why we need the engineering survey, is we need to see how many chimneys would need to be repaired as well as the foundation work. But so for this chimney alone, it's already been repointed twice, so it can't be repointed again. Several of the bricks are leaking minerals, he said. So he would do his best to, or whomever does this would need to do their best to, match the brickwork and the brick coloring. He quoted that at just under $19,000, but if it has to go below the roof line, that would be an additional $4,450, according to this company. If you go to the next slide.
So wait. So you are looking to replace the chimney?
Yeah. So for this leg, we really need to replace it. There's no repointing it. It has to be completely disassembled and reassembled. And he said what most masons do is they try to use whatever bricks are in good shape, but that he will match as many as he can, as close as he can. But again, all of this would have to be run through mass preservation, and Paul Holtz is our contact there. They would, of course, be assisting, which is another reason why getting the engineering survey would really help, because we can submit that to them and say, this is where we're at with these projects. This one really needs to be done. There's a very active leak, and bricks are falling from it as well. So it also poses a danger to our gardeners who work near the property. And if you can go to the next slide. So then what we'd like to do is, once that chimney is repaired, the room itself, you can kind of see it's not a room that gets a lot of light, but it's historic wallpaper and it's being damaged by the day. So it's been kind of a slow leak. And as you can see, the last picture is the mantle, and you can see the debris that's falling from the active leak. And we've already we've already had roofers out too, just to make sure it was actually the chimney that was leaking. And so it's kind of one of those things where we'd like to just secure this chimney, make sure it stops leaking, and then repair the damage that's already been caused, because this is a very visible room to the public. And also, I just really would hate to lose more of the historic wallpaper at this point. So our hope is to be able to move forward with this project by getting the engineering survey, being able to, you know, secure someone to do the chimney repair, and then somebody to secure and shore up that bedroom and get it back into the condition it needs to be in. And then the last page was just a breakdown of the cost of what we were assuming.
Okay.
Megan, I just had a question. I seem to recall that there had been a previous assessment done. I think, I don't remember what year it was, but it wasn't that long ago, I believe, maybe 2018.
Yep, 2018.
Okay. So is there any way to, I mean, have things deteriorated so much to the point that it really needs to be redone at this point? Or would a contractor not even look at something that was that old?
Well, there's two things. That survey was really particularly looking and focusing on the electrical for the house, because that was the project that it was intended for. And then it gave an overall statement of the condition. So in preservation, Mass will expects 2 years or newer engineering surveys of buildings when you apply for grants too, to help offset the cost for this larger project. So the survey that was done in 2018 really will not give us enough information about the foundation and chimney work that needs to be done, because it was mostly focusing on the electrical work with minor condition reports around the property.
Thank you. Seems kind of prohibitive at the same time for projects that may not have a lot of money to have to get the money to do these surveys in the first place. But I understand that it makes sense in this situation.
And Megan,
what is your time frame for this? For the survey and the whole, and all that you need looking forward?
Well, as soon as I make the application, the CPA comes to a decision, I can work with the city engineer to get a request for bids for the engineering firm, put that out to bid that, says we're looking for someone to do an engineering survey of the building, specifically looking at the masonry work with a scope of work that would be needed to be done on the property. And then after that was done, I would put the chimney rebuild out to bid separately, with that engineering survey information included. And then after that is done, then we would shore up the wallpaper restoration. And all of this sort of depends on a lot of different factors. So like our repainting project went out to bid and was not successful the first bid. We were hoping to have it done by the beginning of fall to have the repainting done. So we had to put it back out to bid. So in theory, we can get this done in like a year and a half, but again, it all depends on who bids on the project, who's available and when. It's all a little bit dependent, but my idea would be a year to a year and a half at most.
And Megan, the first engineering survey that you did for electric, did you get a CPA grant for that?
I think the last director used a CDBG grant. I think CPA was still pretty new. And then she applied for a CPA grant to do the electrical panel. So it may have covered both. Like, I think the CDBG money covered part of that, and CPA may have covered the other part, because I think we only got like 32,000 and it was about 56. Mm-hmm. But again, that was done before me, so I don't actually know where all the funds came from. Mm-hmm. I can only inherit what I can inherit. So I think it was CPA and CDBG money that covered part of that, but CDBG, I think, covered the bulk of it. Mm-hmm. But bids for the engineering came in higher from what I'm remembering, what the last director had told me. So they had to use other funds to fund that survey.
I'm just asking because, as long as I've been on the commission and with CPA, I have not seen funding allocated for a survey. So we need to make sure that can be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really big step that I think is essential in any historic preservation planning is actually making sure that you have what you need and know what you need to do is a really good part of that project. So,
no,
yeah.
it is a wonderful thing. We just have to make sure that if we bring the grant forth, that is allowed. Tyler, do you have any questions? Tyler, sorry.
No, not at this time.
Mm-hmm. And Megan, this is the other thing. Tyler is our reviewer, as I said, so he might get in contact with you if he needs more information.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan.
Any other question, anything?
No.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a great night.
And please save that wallpaper. My heart was just going out to it. I mean, I just wanted to cry.
I know. I keep looking to see if I can find somebody who's reprinting it, but I haven't had any luck yet. So if anybody has any wallpaper, contact me.
I do have somebody who could do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll talk.
Goodbye. All
Thanks,
right.
Megan.
So, okay, next, let's see. All right. So next would be the ticket booth.
No. It's the steeple restoration. Are you looking at the Excel spread fiscal year?
No. Oh, we don't have, no, I'm looking direct. We never got anything for the steeple restoration.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that somebody said that was what Olivia was here for.
No.
Okay. All right. And I just imagined that. Okay. Sorry. So number 6, City Hall basement.
Yes, that's Olivia.
Okay. Go for it.
So okay, so we're going for basement document restoration. Excellent. Olivia, would you like to present? Would you like me, and as everybody, would you like me to share screen with the documentation?
Sure, that would be great, because the pictures tell it all.
So, well, first we have to go with determine if the artifacts are historically significant. And let me share screen.
Okay, can you share? Okay, very good. This is a Form C, which is the Mass Historic Commission's Form C for objects. And these are documents. So it doesn't appear in any of the check ones. It's one of the others. It's document ledgers, and as you can see there in the photo, that's what's downstairs in the basement. We did open the when a crew went down there. I think it was before the pandemic. We went down to view the documents, and of course it's moldy. The documents were in a section of the basement that was had standing water and puddles of water, so they were moldy and deteriorating. The reason we looked at those at those documents was because they were ledgers of, on the outside, I can't really show you. I have to take you down there because the documentation that we took pictures of was 1890s, 1880s documents of paupers and some early school documents and early documents from the city. It says city residents. So it's very difficult to see right now. The page, we didn't go through the pages so much because they were deteriorating at the time. So then we called in Belfour, document recovery was recommended by the city historian. And so we called them in and he came, I believe it was 2019. He came in and viewed them, looked through. We were downstairs with masks and gloves, looking at the documents. So he said they're recoverable. He didn't want to, he said, how far do you recover them? You want to put them in new bindings or make them, presentable. And I said, like, I can't really tell you. We wanted to be able to put them out to the public. We don't want to put new bindings on them. We don't want to bring them up to what's the word? We want to keep them viewable, but not so. When somebody comes in and says they want to see a ledger from 1880, they can come in with their mask and their gloves, and they would be able to view them. So they would. The end result would be they would be eligible to go into an archive that would be that the public could view. The city historian and the Holyoke historical, the director of the Holyoke History Room really didn't want those documents in their archives because they would bring mold and start deteriorating their archives. So they said they have to be cleaned. So they're in that process of Belfour gave us a scope and work. Would they have to be dehydrated? What's the word? Dry cleaned, sensitized, and cleaned. So I said, he said, how far do you want to take this? I said, we don't want to take it too far because we don't know what's in them, but we have to, we want to be able to look through them and to glean some information out from them. So that's the scope and service. That's in one of those documents that you have there. It's from Balfour. So I can't really tell you, I have to be able, at some point in time, we would take this and be able to complete this Form C and give you some accurate information, but we can't tell you at the time because these documents need to be dry cleaned, deodorized, stabilized, and returned to Holyoke. And the city historian can evaluate them at the time in greater detail and could be made available to the public. So in the initial examination, we saw paupers' names, money amounts, and dates, as well as 1900 and 1960 school records. So, any questions? Does that help you understand?
Yeah, this just seems like a massive undertaking, and it is deeply depressing to hear about the conditions, and it being 3.5 years ago since you were there. I can only imagine that it's continued to worsen. I am curious, you mentioned the time frame, the range of dates, but if you were to sort of walk into a room, are we talking like 20 boxes high, the entire room full? Like, how much are we talking about in terms of actual paper documents, boxes worth? Is it like, well, how would you indicate how much we're looking at?
My initial reaction was 20 to 30 large ledgers and binders stacked, precariously stacked on these cockamamie shelves. You know.
They look plastic. They look plastic.
Yeah. But, you know, unfortunately, it was something that the city clerk inherited. It wasn't something our current city clerk did, but unfortunately, they ended up in the basement. There's a wet part in the basement. Believe it or not, I went down there again to look at them just to make sure that things were still there, because I didn't want to go through the application if things were gone, because things turn up missing a lot of times in city. People don't appreciate what's there. So anyway, I went down there to see, got permission to go downstairs. It's a locked space. Got permission to go down. Everything was still there, right in the same. Nothing has been moved, so it was like a time lock, you know. So that I went forward with the application and said, well, we're talking about pre-pandemic things, and that's why I'm bringing this forward. Mm-hmm. So Brenna is aware. She's had document restoration of her current documents in the vault that she has access to, the city clerk vault. That's an interesting little tour that you all would appreciate, because it's a 2-story vault in City Hall. We'll have to get permission to go down there. But, so at the time I said, Brenna, can we move those old documents into your space or into your grant at the time? She said, can't do it. She had to take the most current things. So that's where we are. I'd love to take you in. I could take you in at some time. We can make plans to go down there and see it. We just have to make sure we wear masks and nobody's highly allergic to mold and other things.
So a few things, again, and again, my heart is breaking as you speak, Olivia. A few things. What we have to do here for CPA, we have to establish historical significance. And when I was talking to Olivia maybe a week or so ago, the problem is that this document cannot be touched, cannot be opened. So they represent an health hazard. And my understanding is if they go get them, they would wear suit, mask, and take them out.
Yeah.
So there is no way to know. Am I correct, Olivia, if I say there is no way to know how much of the information inside is still legible and what the information inside is?
Well, there is some damage, and it's gone beyond the legible, the first couple pages, but fortunately some of the pages that are deeper inside ledgers are still intact. So the writing and the penmanship is legible. So the professional Belfour recovery document business came in and said this is how they would go in with all their gear and encapsulate the documents so that the mold and doesn't spread, and and recruit and stabilize the materials, dehydrate, dry clean, and stabilize the materials. And he said it was doable. So
when they came, did they open the book and look through the pages?
Yes, yes.
And they said, but we still don't know what they are, what the documents are.
Yeah, I didn't happen to take pictures of the text of the pages at that time. So I could still do that. We could still go down.
But you said you can't touch them. You told me that it is a health hazard to touch them. Well,
I've been down in the basement before. I don't have any allergies to the mold that's down there. It's a little bit of an issue in City Hall itself because it's an issue with other offices because of the mold conditions. I mean, it's not as bad as Springfield's courthouse, but there are mold issues there, and people have so I could take you if you're not sensitive to mold.
No, I mean, I just want to put, I think this is a situation is that certainly I cannot ask you or encourage you to go down and open those books because that actually is a major health hazard situation, which is serious. This is when I hate this job because we have no evidence of what these books are or the condition. So there is no way for us to legitimately say they are historically significant. And also, we can certainly not say go down and take picture because I actually believe that the city would be liable. So I think we can also write an hypothetical that if the documents can be read and they are record of the city from 1900 to 1960, of course, they would be historically significant, but there is no way for us to actually confirm that.
Tyler, is this something you might be able to weigh in on?
I think the handling of historic documents is slightly outside my specific area of expertise.
And this is historical significance. And actually, Attorney Deegan is here. And again, we can only attest to what we see. So in good faith, we cannot say that these documents are significant. I think, but I'll listen to the commission. What do you think?
I just wanted to ask the information that you found, like the school records, was that just on outside of the book, or you actually did open some of the books? So the
outside of the book had school records. They were dated.
Okay.
And then we did open the book, and there were names and dates. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that you did open the books, and there is historical information. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I could go down. I'm willing to go down again. I've been boosted, and I had my
please no.
And I've never had any reactions. So
yes, no, until you do. No, we don't do that.
I've been down there a couple times. So
we are a 21st century city government. We don't send people to deal with dangerous.
All right, I'll wear a mask. Okay.
But Paula, how can we say they're not historically significant?
Well, what we can say is that based on the word of Olivia Mausel, that is a very well-respected member of the community, who has looked through the pages, she confirmed that they are documentation of school records and other records, what she wrote in the form of the city of Holyoke. Our vote that they are historically significant, if we decide to do that, is based on the hypothetical assumption that they, once they are treated, they will be in good condition enough to be read, and that the document contain the record from the institution that Olivia said. So, but basically we have to stay, we are going by the word of this person, and it is partially hypothetical. And if everything is true, and if it's true that the conditions are such that once treated, the book can be opened and read, yeah, they would be significant documents. And that's all we can do. But we
I
cannot.
would appreciate, I know you can't do, you can't come forward with a straight statement, but if you can, you know, say, with the information that we have now, it seems that it's potentially historical, or, you know, whatever words you.
Well, what we can say is that it is an hypothetical based on your report and your word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Even, but again, Olivia saw one page. So even if it was just one page, it's something historically significant.
No, I mean, it's 38, it's 38 books. If you saw one page out of 38 books.
But the entire project after the fact, if it was just one page that worked, so to say.
But we are not asked to approve a project for one page.
I understand that, but if it was, if there was the 20 books and only one page was saved, it would be historically significant. I mean,
I can think that's too complex for me, Chris.
Okay.
And again, you know, we also think, you know, if you compare with a building, one of the things that they ask you is how much of the building and the architecture is left. For a ledger, for a catalog, for something that tells you the history through the year, one page might be significant, but is not useful to a significant collection to be kept.
Olivia, in the process of exploring this as a project, was there any conversation with is it Elaine Crosby? You know, just thinking about other documents within the city that the library may have whole in storage. Are there other departments, other areas of the city that have struggled similarly? And even though CPA might not have been available, you know, that there was an effort to rehabilitate those documents. Are you aware of anything? Is there any input that can come from the city historian or Penny on the past attempts to do this sort of thing?
Well, Eileen Cosby wasn't able to be at the visits to the basement, and she's highly sensitive to mold, so she refused to go down. Penny Martorell was the one that suggested that we go to Belfour, the document recovery business in Boston. So she suggested that we approach them and see if and he did come out to Holyoke pro bono. We had to make sure that if he made a visit, that because we couldn't pay him to come out, so he did come out pro bono, and we went down and took a look at it. I don't think that there's been another scenario like that. Most of the documents that they have in their archives are recovered, but they're not in the conditions that we found these documents.
Okay, I was just wondering, like the school department building, like if they have records, if they run into this kind of issue. But so, I think we're recognizing what the issue is here. There's twofold. There's the point that Paolo is making that we can't officially verify the truthfulness of the historic significance of all these documents because nobody's been able to look at them. On the other hand, if we don't do something to help this process move forward, things are going to continue to get worse, not just for the documents, but for people working in that building. Those repairs need to get done anyway on the building, and it shouldn't be dependent on documents being there or not being there for that work to be done. That's a separate issue. But I think we're all acutely aware that the longer those documents stay in that same place, the harder it's going to be to ever retrieve them.
Right.
So this is a difficult situation for sure.
So how about, because we only have Tyler for 1 more hour, how about we suspend the discussion of this? And I think we got all the information we need from Olivia. We go back to building and we can discuss it more when we're done with all the architectural and building thing.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Very much. Whatever the commission decides is, we appreciate your consideration.
And we appreciate you keep putting your health at risk constantly to go save things that are most of the city doesn't even know they exist. So thank you, Olivia.
Thanks, Olivia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. What's next on the spreadsheet?
The John Lynch gravestone, but I don't think Mike.
No. That's they
oh, sorry, the 106 High Street. You're right, 106 to 120.
Excellent.
Not bad.
And Vadim and Alex, are you guys ready to present?
Yeah, and I think I'm actually gonna do the bulk of it, and I'm gonna let Vadim step in at the end. I do have some materials I can share on my screen. If I think right now it says the host disabled participant screen sharing. I don't know if it's possible to open that back up.
Could
have to ask Jennifer.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Can we add William as a host to share his screen with us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
1 second.
And William, is it Wolmendorf? How do I say your last name?
Yeah, it's Womeldorf.
Wolmendorf.
You can just call me Bill, if that's easy.
All right, Bill.
Yes, I should be able to.
There you go. You should be all set.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, let me know if everybody can hear me and see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. So I'll just give everybody a very quick overview of everything. I don't want to take up too much time. We have an exciting project over at Wright's Block at 106 to 120 High Street. It's this section you're seeing in the center of my screen, with the exception of the clover on the far left. This particular block was actually one of the first blocks, commercial blocks built on High Street. It was built in 1870s. And it's a good example of an intact block on this north side of High Street. And since then, 111 to 115 High Street has been demolished, as you can see an example of that. And the three of us, me, Alec, and Vadim, we're we're really looking to revitalize and save these old brick historic buildings downtown. We have a passion for these projects. We bought the block in 2019 and have been doing a lot of fire safety on the inside and life safety features, and have leased up the first floor. We are proposing a screen here, there we go. Rehabilitation of the upper floors, as you can see in this rendering. One unfortunate thing we have realized is that the cost to rehabilitate this building exceeds the value of the building by a very good amount of money. So we're methodically getting sources. We already have committed with East Hampton Savings Bank about $2 million of the construction, and we are very close to getting historical tax credits to help fill some of the gap. But we are still seeing a deficit, and we believe that CPA is our hope to fill that deficit, and particularly some of the areas that we found that are a concern for us is the historic windows are substantially higher cost than we originally anticipated with the project, and it seems like it's a very critical aspect of the building envelope, and also for rejuvenizing the street front downtown. We really want to make sure that it's done in the correct manner, and unfortunately for us, that's a very costly undertaking. But this CPA application is focused on 3 critical parts of the building enclosure. The first one is the windows. The second one is the masonry restoration. And the third is this accessible entrance on the last remaining storefront, which does not have one currently, 120 high. So together, the 3 parts of it, I'll very briefly go through and kind of open it up back to dialogue. The first one is the windows. So we have gotten Marvin historical team involved, and it's been a very exciting experience. We've learned a lot about the windows. Luckily, we have some intact ones on the building. I can show you very quickly here the current street view of the front. So we were able to take all of our engineering probes. We have an exciting team. I'm blessed to have a historical consultant from Boston who we've already retained their services to help restore this brick building. And we are matching very close to the exact windows of the original 1870s construction. The window cost, as you see, it's about $3,500 a piece. They're significantly priced windows. The entire package of the windows is approximately $300,000, about $170 in the front and $170 in the rear. We're also concerned about some aspects of the masonry restoration. Foremost is a parapet on one of the buildings is receiving a lot of attention from us for all the wrong reasons, and this one's about to fall down. The issue with this one is it's in the very center of the building. To get to it, you incur so much cost that you're almost better off doing all the masonry restoration before even touching this point. It's incredible, all the masonry restoration that is involved with it. We have brought on a mason who has worked on historical projects in the past, who has been helping us in developing the design build method of the scope of work here. I will kind of briefly look through the plans if it's of interest to see. We have identified these areas where we are fixing old spalled bricks, and have identified on all the plans the level of restoration that we are proposing. And lastly, the third key aspect of our application involves a new accessible entrance to 120 high. We understand that historical buildings in 1670 are 1870 rather are challenging to provide accessibility. We have since installed accessible entrances to 3 out of the 4 storefronts, and we are looking to get that last one, which will involve some masonry scope. And our hope is to do all the masonry and windows in one phase of the project, regardless of when the project occurs. We do have a lot of readiness that I can briefly show you here. One of which is our zoning is approved. So we are our building permit ready over at the project, which is an exciting feat. We do have sprinklers and a brand new electric service on the project. We have done all of our environmental due diligence and are ready to abate the asbestos, which is not as bad as we were fearing. We have Mass Development and East Hampton Savings Bank as our lenders. We are working with Mass Development for the final approvals, but we do have East Hampton Savings Bank on board. We have advanced our engineering and architectural plans to a point where we can now get historical tax credits. And we are excited and anxious to go to the board here, or the commission rather, to discuss what the best strategy is for us with CPA funds for the project, and how much to ask. I know originally we had, I believe, 180, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vadim. Since then, we have done a lot of hard estimates on the cost, and I could give you the very brief overview, but the front elevation alone is 250 for the 3 scopes I noted, and then another 200 for the rear of the building, for a total of about 450 for all the exterior restoration work. We're happy to come out of pocket for a portion of that, but it is an astonishing cost for us as developers. This is a project of pure of love for the building and the historical preservation of Holyoke, and specifically this very old section of Holyoke, which has been getting demolished slowly and steadily, that we're hoping that we can preserve this intact business block downtown. Open it back up to the commission for any questions, and Vadim, just jump in here if you have further commentary that you want to express to the commission.
No, I think you knocked it out of the park. Thank you for going through all those details. Yeah, Bill said it right when he said, you know, we'd much rather go through and try to preserve the historical nature of these buildings. You know, if we went through and just slapped in, you know, vinyl replacement windows, it would be, you know, a third of the price. But we're really looking to preserve Holyoke's heritage. That's a big deal for us, and one of the big reasons why we got that building. We actually attempted to purchase the building across the street that Bill mentioned, 111, 115 High Street, but unfortunately we weren't able to get there in time, and it was demolished. So, you know, between that and the Essex and so many others that are just coming down left and right, you know, we just figured we would try to do something in whatever small way we could. So yeah, I'd love to hear your reactions.
And Vadim and Bill, when I was looking through the images that you provided, in the back, I saw some sort of terrace. Do I remember correctly that you're putting in the back? For
the proposed renderings?
Yeah, in the proposed renderings.
Yeah,
yes.
So on that, one thing that we're playing with is, so we have to put in a fire escape. So one of the variations that we're looking at and that we're really hoping to be able to pull off is to extend those fire escapes to create porches and terraces in such a way where people can use the space as outdoor recreation space, because by virtue of the fact that the land slopes away towards the river in that section of town, the views from especially the 3rd and 4th floors are really amazing. So we want to provide that as an amenity to to try to upgrade the building.
I just want to make sure the Mass Historic will allow.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Our consultant is very conservative. He used to be a staff over at the National Park Service and understands the reviewers. But if we do look at the elements of the design, we see guardrails which are required for code in order to have occupancy on the roof. The porches are a key aspect of the discharge system of the units, and actually do reflect the historical makeup based on the insurance maps we were able to garner. Unfortunately, we do not have photography from the early stages of the building, and even into the 90s, we only have great photography of the front. But what I'm just getting to is a lot of these elements are kind of needed for code. I think this rendering doesn't do it justice in the sense of the material choices have been evolving and changing. For example, between wood and metal, we have done a proposal to National Park Service for wood. Mm-hmm. And we have done things, we have selected material choices that we believe they will accept. But we plan to hear back from them in late November to early December on the commentary back. And I expect minor changes to the rear of the building.
That's good. And it's my understanding if they could be removable, you have a lot more allowance to do what you want. At this point, by the way, thank you for the very thoughtful presentation and for sending in all your materials on time, on the due date. You've been wonderful and for asking very specific questions. You've been a pleasure to work with. I'm going to ask the commissioner to maybe before we talk, to let Tyler ask any question if he has any, and then we can speak.
One quick question in your description that I wasn't completely clear on. You had mentioned reinvestigation of associated costs, and I didn't understand if that was inclusive in what you were outlining as the kind of funding gap of $1 million and change, or was the $400,000 that and change that was associated with exterior work part of that, or was it a retweet?
It is number? Part of that deficit.
Okay.
And I think it's a big part of it though too, because a lot of the window work, otherwise without going for the tax credits, we wouldn't need to do. But the tax credits make the entire deficit achievable. Or at least with the CPA funding, at least. That's the only way the building can get rehabilitated is with all those sources.
Yeah, but part of it too is the historical nature of what we're trying to do. Like I said, if we were going to do, cheap materials and that type of thing, it would be significantly cheaper. So that's part of what's driving the cost.
Absolutely. And the repointing effort on the exterior, I saw when I had looked over some of the drawings earlier, there were specific conditions that were called out. Is repointing targeted? Like, how pervasive is the effort to stabilize, replace, in continuity on? I mean, I realize there's a lot of brick touch on the exterior envelope, but what are the aspirations for how much of that is ultimately going to be touched?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can see that the masonry number isn't really the big ticket of the project. It's about 20 in the front and I think 30 on the rear. That is a hard figure from our mason. The front, luckily for us, is in great shape. There's some exceptions on the top course and some areas that are hard to pick up in this photography, but there's some spalling. It just more or less makes sense to hit those areas when you have the boom lift and all the other spots. The rear on the other side is where a lot of the masonry work is going to occur. For example, this stretch of cementitious material is largely going to be kind of removed and then repointed and then reinstalled. And I think that's going to be the bulk of the cost. In 2021, we actually repointed the top of the Oliver side. I think the masonry work isn't luckily for us not a huge component. The mason actually thinks the building is in really good condition and worth saving. So we're excited.
A lot of that has to do with water getting in, so that's the reason to tackle those. Not all, but a lot of it is because water is getting in and causing damage internally, so we're trying to arrest that.
Understood.
Yeah. And this was the particular bad area here that I think a lot of the costs, and I think this is a tricky area for us to tackle, particularly.
Okay. I think those were my immediate questions. I will undoubtedly think of some more, but that's it for right now.
Okay. Before we close on applicant commentary, I was looking to see from the Historical Commission what our ask should be for the CPA. I know originally we have 180. Vadim and I had a conversation about having the front elevation work included in this, and then have the rear as something that we would do. With the idea that the front is really the shining point of where we want the historical preservation to occur. I'm just curious on the commission's thoughts on how we could bolster our application with the CPA.
I think it has to do with the purpose of CPA funding. Like our job is to primarily analyze the historical relevance, not in terms of like, this is of course a building that is historically relevant, but in terms of like what is going to happen with preserving this building, the accuracy, the historical accuracy in general. I think that the CPA funding comes from certain taxes that we all pay as if we own a property in Holyoke, and I believe that the main focus is here is what are the components that are essential for keeping this building in great shape for the future. I think I am not going to get into the weeds in terms of like what is going to be accurate or what's going to be the issue in terms of like if we put an extension, if we save certain area in a certain way. But I think the facade is the most important piece for now. I mean, there's probably there's several like documentation around how important is this first block in High Street, and I think the windows are very important in this case, and of course like the masonry work. But I feel like it's as long as it fits into like preservation and historical accuracy, I think anything can be reallocated around those things. I have nothing to say about budgets. I'm just saying in terms of like what is this specific fund for. We rarely have the chance to, we mostly do our job about saving buildings, and this is something that is interesting because it's basically an upscale of the ideal situation where you can actually refine the historical accuracy of a property, and I think this is fantastic for me. This is a great example of that. But yeah, I think this is not a place for kind of thinking about money and amounts, but just to inform some criteria around what is needed to apply for the funding. What are we looking also for?
Sure. And we did tailor this to the CPAC goals. We reviewed those entirely and believe that this project does align with those, especially the accessible entrance. And I thank you, Louis, for the comments on that. I'll bring it back to the commission. Paula, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Bill. So, talking to applicants in these last months, the way I was trying to explain CPA historic funding for building, basically, it's primarily you, the people who apply, who want to bring back the building to an historically accurate splendor, and in that way give back to the community. And so if you can demonstrate that, we give you money. In relation to the back, again, I'm not an architect and I'm not an historian, so I will defer, the judgment to Mass Historic. I think it's a very fine line. I look at presidents, and we had to deny grant money to the Armoire building downtown because they were cutting more window in and doing changes that, in a way, destroyed the historical legibility of the building. So, I think the back is appealing. To my taste and to the way it almost looks a little too modern. But, again, this is my taste, and I will do what Mass Historic says. So, and I'm so glad that I don't have that judgment. But again, the Historical Commission will hold the preservation restriction on the building. So it's very important to keep the dialogue open and make sure that we have the blessing of Mass Historic so that the project can go through. And to me, just your commitment, the way you made the plan, where the building is, the fact that it's a preserved block, of course, I would love if they could give you more money for this, And again, you're putting the money in all the right places. And the other recommendation, be very, very careful with the repointing, because again, if it's a repointing being considered for the most part maintenance, CPA will not pay for it if it's maintenance. So make sure that you require money. The window is perfect. We can give you money for the accurate windows, no problem. And when before you came in front of us, I asked Vadim to send a picture of the back, because it's always a problem if you cut windows, extra windows. So when you were saying about the new access door and stuff, I was like, I hope it's still okay. But Mass Historic is being, I noticed, very solicitous of recent picture, and make sure that the building as it is now is still legible, is still historically viable. So be super careful with cuts that you make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. No, I made note on the concern on the rear. I think we'll definitely look between the next couple months to really understand and flesh out the rear design for the December application, and hopefully by then we'll already have commentary and maybe even approval from the state on the design of the said rear areas.
Because as I said, we had 2 or 3 big projects, which could have been great projects that everybody spent a lot of time and effort on it. And then the owner decided not to go the preservation route. And we're very excited about this project, but I hope that you can stick with it and make that commitment, because it's really worth it for this building. And again, what I'm also excited is that you seem to be people that understand that actually going the preservation route and even having a preservation restriction on the building will add value to the building, not detract it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, you know, for us, it's not so much about value. I mean, if we wanted to make money, I assure you we would be doing anything else. But you know, it's really the value is just a function of like getting it done and, you know, drawing loans and things like that from it. So yeah. Right. And any other questions? We're happy to.
And one big question I had too was, you know, if we should, and I'll just say it point blank. I mean, is 180 a fair number for the CPA? I've watched past projects, and I'm wondering if it's possible to go up, or would you recommend sticking where we're at?
I think the key is that you document very well what you're spending the money for.
Mm-hmm.
You are on High Street. It's the street that everybody is focusing on revitalizing it. It's the street that is the next street that everybody wants to see as a center of activity. I don't think there are many historic projects this year.
What I can speak to is it really runs the enormous gamut in terms of what people are applying for. So other people are applying for significantly more, or initially had, you know, indicated that they might, you know, request a significantly higher number than you are asking for. But I agree, Paula's point is, you guys are extremely thorough in what you're doing thus far. So there's really no doubt that if you felt like you wanted to up the amount, you know, just include the specifics around why there's a need there.
Yeah, and I only ask because, for example, I would hate to ask for, you know, 300, right, and just get outright rejected when, you know, they would have given, you know, 250, for example. I don't know if it's a possibility that if we approach CPA with a certain number, if, you know, would they be able to change it post December's application? Or I guess, is there flexibility in that?
I would say contact the chair of CPC, because she's been on the committee, and because one question I can't answer, I don't know if any of the commissioner can, is if people have come in with higher number and there's been negotiation. I don't know. So yeah. So talk to them about that.
Yeah, Bill, let's put a pin in that conversation for now, and we'll I think that's outside the scope of this particular meeting.
Okay.
Yes, please. I want to remind the commissioners that this is not something that we should discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's been a pleasure. You've been wonderful to deal with, and we can't thank you enough.
Yeah. No, thank you. We feel the exact same way. You've been very helpful and explaining kind of what the process is and helping us along. So yeah, we look forward to hearing back.
Excellent. All right. Who is next?
I think it's Victory Theater.
And Bill, could you stop sharing screen?
Yes, yes, of course.
It's the Mountain Park ticket booth.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Unless there is somebody here for the gravestone restoration. Maybe that's
no, that was next. Is no longer active, I believe.
The gravestone one?
We have Don Sanders on the Zoom call. He's muted, but
yes. Am I muted or unmuted? No. I can't tell.
We can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay, great.
So Don, will you be presenting? Will you be sharing screen? Or
no.
Okay, so
hold on. I don't know if you can show what was sent in by yes, that would be great. But if you can't, I understand.
All right, hold on. Let me go to CPA. Mm-hmm. Right back. Here we go. And let me share screen. Okay. And Commissioner, were you able to review this form?
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. Came in just yesterday, so I appreciate you taking the time. So we are determining historical significance for this structure.
There was also a letter included by the person who actually owns this that gave consent, I believe.
Yeah. Is it this one?
Yeah, it's the first one there.
Okay. And we had, let's see, where were the images? Kathy, you are muted. Were you speaking to us? Oh, okay.
Can you scroll down to the third picture? So can I ask an initial question, just because I took the tour of the theater on Saturday as part of Doors Open. And I believe one of the things you said was the hope to restore the ticket booth in the entryway. And this looks significantly bigger than would fit in that entryway. Correct me if
no, this is Don Sanders.
What?
I'm sorry, this is Don Sanders. Can you hear me? It's very disorienting because I don't know.
Yeah, no. I just
no that.
So
Totally
this is not actually going to be placed in the lobby. This is something that you're going to repurpose for the advertising.
This would correct. This would be a portable ticket booth that would be outside the theater. The ticket booth that's inside the theater is already been historically designated. It's from 1941, and that would be moved somewhere else in the lobby to be enjoyed. This is a ticket booth from Mountain Park, which would be very charming. We think, and our historic advisors think, as an indication of, the great entertainment history of Holyoke and Mountain Park for, almost 100 years. And it would be available to be, for example, parked outside the Victory, so that people could, or to move around the city. The idea is eventually, if that were fit in with the historic, the right thing to do with it, I feel it really needs to be, number one, saved. I mean, that is my and our goal. And, the idea of it's then being a kind of a promotional, I'm trying to think of, like a circus that could go around. It's small, but it's very noticeable and very joyous. And it could also be used by other organizations in the city to advertise or to sell tickets to their events. But so I just thought, it's not that, that's very interesting that you say that, because I hadn't even thought in my own head that we have two ticket booths.
So Paula, on the spreadsheet, there is a comment in the last paragraph, I believe, that says, ask more about the scope of work so that we're not making you do additional work unnecessarily.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So I asked for the scope of work for tonight. So there's a few things about this ticket booth to be approved as historically significant. So the first one is the fact that, Don, do you have a photographic documentation of the restoration that was done up to now? So the condition of the booth photographed and what is done up to now.
Yes, we do.
So we would need that to start, because what we see now, we see one picture from Mount Tom on location, and then
yes, I see.
the finished piece.
Right.
One thing that I noticed, so because this is a structure, not an object, because structure are outside, you are allowed to replace material, but it has to be done in an historical
correct way. Yeah.
So the first thing that I noticed is that the color now are not the color of what the ticket booth was when it was a Mount Tom. So the color has been changed.
Yeah.
The other thing, there are no picture of the inside of the booth. The other question is, if you change the color, when they took the old panels out and substitute them and repaint them, could they see from the old panel if it was customary to repaint it with different colors? So those are really important things to see if the restoration up to now was done according to historical standard. The other thing that is very important, with the pamphlet that we send around about structure significance, one of the things that is required is, at least for the National Registry, if a structure is brought back, its location has to be significant, is to be relatable to the original historical function of the structure. And of course, you cannot put it at Mount Tom anymore because the park is gone. If you want, there might be a way that we could think as historically meaningful to have the structure at the new display at Heritage Park, but definitely this moving it around from place to place is not in any way a way to validate the historically significant and original use for this structure. The other thing that we wanted to review the scope of work, the other thing is it's missing the sign on the top, which was incredibly important, that defined the use of the booth. You bought the little tickets and various rides cut them out. The other thing it says that in your scope of work, you're saying that it probably was moved around in the park because you see it appearing in different locations. But in the old photograph from, where is it? From the ticket booth, you have another ticket booth right here. So it wasn't the one ticket booth, it looked like there were multiple of them.
Correct.
But the relevant part, so it would come back, it would not have the original ticket on top. And there, in one of your letters, you said that you would put LED lights on them and wheels, and that would not be permitted with CPF funds because you would take it farther away from what the structure was. So those are all important things.
I think they're very great issues, Paula, and they're very well articulated. Should I speak to those now, or?
Well, basically, those are things. I'm just telling you, those are things. Yeah. That's why we need to look at the scope of work, because those are things that you cannot do with CPF funding, and also we are, and also for us to even establish whether the structure is historically significant, we really need to see what the restoration was, to see how far from the original it has gone.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's why we wanted to come before you, because we didn't want to envision or do anything more. Our major concern is that it be recognized as historically significant, and how it is then, and its restoration needs to be guided by exactly the kinds of principles and concerns that you're articulating and that have been articulated for other projects this evening. And that when the, quite frankly, to me, the miracle, the fact that this piece, existed at all, really totally invigorated my imagination and excited me, because I thought this is an aspect, since we are involved, obviously, with the restoration and reopening of the Victory Theater, which is a huge historic and, I should underscore, completely overseen by the Massachusetts Historic Commission, and we already have millions of dollars in historic tax credits, etc. I was so excited by the reality that this survivor, it is a very modest item, this survivor had been found, that I wanted to have it repatriated to its home. And that's why we started thinking, well, what could, what purpose could it serve? But my position and Mitha's position is that we want to work, we would like to see it we're not concerned about the money, etc. We're concerned about, first, that it is recognized as having a historic significance, and then how it could be restored, and in what ways that it should be restored. You mentioned the jumping ahead to things like digital signs and so forth. Those were proposals that were made. They were not final. When I see the picture of the tickets, 15 cents, 7 for $1. We've also found signs like that in the Victory Theater for cartoon shows. So I guess that what I would like to say to you and the commission is that we feel we're at the very beginning of this process of what I think this very charming article can be, and that we would want to work with the Historic Commission and experts to make sure that as it is restored and what repurpose it has would be completely consistent with historic significance and retain its charm and life. I note that most of the projects tonight are looking at validation for sums of money, etc. We really want it. I really feel it's a wonderful artifact. I think the points that you make are so well taken. We didn't see the original paint job until Emily DiMaggiano did the research for us. So that when it was first presented to us, I mean, a paint job, I think, can be. I love, I love the colors that we have some record of. I share, Chairman, your love of the ticket sign. All those, I think those are all things that can be brought back to it and serve the purpose in terms of its being peripatetic or a nomad around the city. Obviously, as you say, it can't go back to Mountain Park, but there has to be a way, I feel, that in the hearts and minds of the city's population and visitors, that they would understand. We originally thought that something accompanying it would talk about Mountain Park and what its significance was to residents, not only of Holyoke, but the entire region as a fun place to go to. I think all of those things can happen for this modest little piece that packs a big wallop of nostalgia and emotional reality. So that's, I wanted to say that we see this, I didn't realize that this was really the beginning of a process. And I think the beginning of the process was that it be recognized. We want it to be loved by you, the commission, and other people whose concerns for the beauty of the city and retaining its history. We all share that. And I hope that makes sense. I think the points you make, the painting can be, those are all things that can be correctly done. I think that the idea of how it can be situated in a way, it was so astonishing. When we found out about the booth, we didn't know that there would be the exhibition at Heritage Park. There are places that it could be, and we want to be a part of that and do whatever is good for that ticket booth.
Okay, thank you. Let me interrupt you for a second because we have to be mindful of Taylor time.
Yes.
Taylor, this is the last project where we may need you. I think it was the last project. Do you have anything in terms of this structure, any question that comes to mind? Because we have to let you go as the 2 hours are up.
No questions from me.
Okay. Thank you. And all right, so we have used you for the 2 hours, and if you want to stay, it's okay. But thank you. We want to be mindful of your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, and Don, I hope this meeting is being helpful to you But
yes,
so as
very.
you see, people that look for historical, when you start coming into a meeting for, in this case for CPA, as you can see, people with project hire people to help them with the application and filling things and putting them together so that they can come forth with the proper material. So far, what I see now for me, again, two things, as I said, the two major things that needs to be overcome are one, you need to prove if you eventually want to acquire this booth is that the restoration done so far was according to standard of restoration. And the second thing is you want to guarantee a place that is historically where the structure will maintain the historical significance, and that nothing that is added would take away from what the structure was when it was in use.
Yes.
So those are the important things. We don't do the work for you. You need to do the work and then present it to us in the proper way so that we can rule whether the artifact is significant or not. But one thing I do appreciate and I applaud your sentiment, but unfortunately this process, what you talk about when you were talking, and I'm thinking, again, I have a very Western background, but you're talking about something that Walter Benjamin will call the aura, and maybe Ronald Barthes would talk into the punctum, but you're talking about associating an image or an icon with a set of feelings, given an experience, and given the experience of a culture. So the city of Holyoke being stirred by an icon, in this case, the booth, having their emotions stir because of the association they make. But unfortunately, those are not the criteria that historical preservation goes by. So the fact that the ticket booth would do that doesn't mean that, and would cause strong feeling in people, doesn't mean that in the state that it is now could still be considered a historical artifact.
So that's very interesting, Paula, because I'm so excited to hear you invoke Walter Benjamin and Barthes, which, gives me confidence that you and your fellow commission members are thinking about these things. And I would have to say in reply, I think it also isn't true that articles don't have emotional impact. And even if they're pieces of wood, the pieces of wood are not the same pieces of wood that were there 100 years ago. The feeling and the desire of the community to have a recollection is not frivolous or only, Brecht would say gustatory, in other words, or culinary. And I love what you said. I love it because I understand what you're talking about, but I do think that when we're faced, I could say of the other projects that I've heard very well presented tonight and are all wonderful projects, that the same could be said, that, the judgment of whether something is, the Sistine Chapel would probably, would have a hard time maybe passing muster, as would Angkor Wat, or these are, again, I'm getting aside from, I love your absolute interest in being able to define what is historically significant, and you're wanting to do that. I feel, of course, I'm prejudiced. I feel that an artifact that comes from the everyday, basically working class life of the city, and again, I don't feel that there's any contradiction with an application earlier to restore and put a great deal of money towards the maintenance of a mansion of the people who employed the working class people who worked in the city. I think it's a story that is it is a dialogue, and to have, I agree with you. I'm not sure, actually, we'd have to do carbon testing with what pieces of wood the restorer has used. I'm not sure it's really the pieces of wood or the fact that they might be 100 years old. I think it's the fact that we can probably really authenticate its progress from the bright picture that Emily shows you, and then you see it over in the corner as a deteriorated as
Okay. Let me interrupt you here because I feel like I haven't been clear. Because it's a structure that was outside, it's perfectly okay to replace parts of it. Because it's just, we have to make sure that when the replacement was done, was done according to standards. So just wanted to be clear. And no carbon testing. I'm just saying that it would be nice to know if from pieces that were taken out, if there's a history, if we can find out whether they always use the same color or they change the colors. That's all I was saying.
Yes, no, and I hear you, and I think they did change the color. And I'd like to see it back to, in the same way that we're dealing with the Victory Theater. I mean, so many overlays of things were done. And when the Mass Historic Commission, after 5 years of archiving, came up with the two dates of 1920 and 1941 to be able to establish what the correct, the best way of portraying the historicism of the interior. I couldn't agree more with you. And I guess I want to say I'd love to work with the commission to find ways to answer questions that you have and concerns, because I do think it's a wonderful object, and it's something that I think would be a feather in the entire community's cap to save and use as and it is true in the Walter Benjamin and Martha's way, it is an emblem, but emblems, we have a flag that's an emblem. Emblems can be, I think, very powerful.
Mr. Sanders, thank you so much for your time. We need to keep moving forward in the night. We have a long agenda to fill.
Yes, so my question is, what would you like us to do now? We were just looking for you to have this conversation about being able to recognize the booth as having historical significance. So I think what do we do next?
All we can do is at this point, we had a deadline, we're voting tonight. We can only vote on the material we have and see what the commission does.
So are you saying that tonight you will vote on whether it has some historic significance or not?
Yes.
Okay. And, it was voted on before as not having historic significance.
No, that's not correct.
It is correct.
Yes,
it was correct.
Is that the letter that you received? Because I believe
it was voted. It was voted that because it was from another city.
No, it was. I was at that meeting, and my understanding was that we did not rule on it because it was not in Holyoke. But did you receive a letter from the chair saying that the booth was not historically significant?
Yes, I did. I was told by the chairman.
Did you receive
that it would have to come? It would have to come before the committee again, which is what we think we're doing.
Okay, so we did not rule on it.
I believe it was ruled on. I don't know. You have the records. I think this is an appeal, isn't it?
There is no appeal.
No, I think there might be some element of confusion regarding this particular.
I mean,
step.
we're not asking for money. We're not asking for money. We're asking for the artifact to be considered historically significant. I mean, we're not interested in the CPC.
All right.
Maybe I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tonight's focus was to review the scope of work for projects to pursue CPA funding.
And to, no, Elena, and also to.
And as well.
No, we were told, no, I'm sorry. We were told by the CPC that any request to them could not be considered unless it had historic significance.
That is correct. And these are the two things that we're doing tonight: historical significance and review of scope of work. And it would have been also, because again, if the scope of work is, again, for instance, if you were to put neon signs or LCD display with words, that would destroy the historical significance.
But we're clearly not doing that, and I said that in my note.
Good. So we will review your material, and we will rule on the artifact tonight based on the material that you have given us.
Which
and,
I hope will be what Emily. I just want to clarify that. Will that be based on the material that Emily has sent in, which has its historic significance? We're not asking you to. I guess what I'm saying is, and again, I don't mean to be. We want to have it be historically restored. We're not asking for neon lights or anything. That's not what we have before you, I don't think.
Yes. As I said, you send in materials, and as I pointed out at the beginning, where the restoration is at this point, the commissioner will discuss. And
well, we're not even okay. I thought we were asking for it to be recognized as being of historic significance to the city of Holyoke. Maybe I got it wrong.
No, that's correct. And it was your responsibility.
That has nothing to do with what its restoration would be. I said in my note, it would be in the same way that the Massachusetts Historic Commission oversees the restoration of their 3 theater, and we want it to be overseen by experts. I guess maybe I didn't make it clear in my note.
No, I understand, but the restoration that has happened up to this point does influence, because the item is not in the original state that it was when it was a mountain park.
I see. So it's not the original wood, not the original, because it was, but I think there are some.
We don't know anything. We don't have a record.
So, okay, I'm just trying to grasp this, because so you're feeling, and maybe it's true, that it's not the same booth.
Okay, no. And at this point, I'm gonna call for a point of order. I think, we have been generous with time and questions. And at this point, we have, as Commissioner Salazar said, we have to go on with our meeting.
Yes, I understand, and I'm sorry if I've taken up too much of your time.
That's okay. You'll be.
I'm sorry if I've taken up too much of your time.
No, of course. You're trying to bring an artifact to Holyoke. We're glad to spend the time, but it's at the point where now we have to do our job, and we'll be able.
Yes, I understand that.
Thank you.
And I guess what I would like to say is that we would love to, if there's another conversation that can be had, because I would like to position that piece so that it is recognized as having historic significance. And if we have failed in any way to do that, we would like a chance to be able to do that. So maybe, I guess I thought this was a conversation about that. So thank you very much.
Oh, our pleasure. Okay.
What is next in the in the process where we're now going to discuss about the applications and then vote around historical significance and the scope of the work?
Well, we didn't get the scope of work.
Yeah, so I'm clarifying. I'm just thinking about what can we do tonight?
Well, and again, we can have a discussion and we can talk about the significant. Again, we go back to the standards of, what makes an artifact significant. And again, what I point out here, we have an artifact that has been restored, but we don't know anything about the restoration.
Paula, I'm just pointing how can we proceed towards the meeting. I think, what is next in the agenda for us here?
Oh, I think this is the last, I mean, we have to go back to the documents.
Okay.
Would you like to go back to the documents and vote on the documents?
Yes.
Yes.
And what, okay, so, again, go ahead and make the motion. Do you want to make a motion? Are we gonna write, for the document, if they are significant, I think it will be important for me to write in the letter that, of course, there's a hypothetical part.
I'm not, sorry to interrupt you. I'm not clear about what is next for us to do in this process.
So we have to vote on the ticket booth and on the documents, whether or not they're historically significant.
Okay, so do you want to start with a conversation about that, or you want to jump into the vote?
You tell me. I mean, I want to make sure that you have all the information you need and you made all the arguments you need to go on to make a motion to have a vote.
I just want to note that there are 3 things we're reviewing: the wisteria hearse, the basement, and this last one. Or
no, we don't have to do. No, we're down on wisteria hearse because the building doesn't need historical significance, and the scope of work will be handled by Tyler.
So I think maybe I'm trying to speak for somebody else, but just based on tonight's agenda, Paula, it looks as though the next thing is to review applications for historical significance for historic restoration grants and review the scope of work for projects of applicants for historic restoration grants. So the motion you're saying is approval. There is no word approval other than approval of contract for technical consultant. So at this stage, are we at section B of number 4 or section C of number 4? Or something that may not have been included on the agenda?
We are reviewing the projects. I didn't put and vote.
Okay. No, I just am trying to clarify because I feel like that's what.
Thank you, because yeah, we are reviewing them, and I think the deadline was October 6th. The project have come in, people have done presentation. And at this point, unless you feel you don't want to vote on it, I think we should, so I can start writing letter. Vice Chair Gauthier.
You're on mute.
You're mute.
I was. Am I good? How are we utilizing Tyler then at this point?
He basically
the scope of work.
He will write reports on the scope of work.
Okay, so he is just going to be giving us a report.
To CPC, actually, he'll give us a copy, but he'll give it to CPC too.
But whatever we vote, yes or no, it doesn't matter.
We don't vote on scope of work.
Okay.
But in some cases, the scope of work, it's important. And it's important that we look at it because we can say, hey, this building is historically significant. This scope of work will make the artifact not historically significant, or this scope of work is not going to fly with Mass Historic.
So we shouldn't vote again then tonight. We shouldn't be voting.
We're voting on historical significance. Now, for instance, for Olivia's Olivia's project, she put in information, all the information she had for us to determine if the project is historically significant. If we decide it's historically significant, you all have seen the estimate to go on and save this ledger, this almanac. It's legitimate. It's from a company. We don't have to say anything. It's what needs to be done to save these documents. So that's pretty easy. For the ticket booth, they did not submit the scope of work. They did not present the scope of work. They received multiple we solicited, and Amy sent an email to everybody and sent direction that tonight they would present the scope of work. It's their responsibility. We did everything we could to make it clear. What they said to us was, well, we only want you to approve whether it's historically significant or not. That's where we're at. We cannot force people, we tell people what the process is. If they don't submit material, they don't submit materials.
So now in the future, we really shouldn't have even entertained the ticket booth. If first we don't have the paperwork.
Well, yes and no, because again, as it is now, we can rule whether it's historically significant or not. And one of the things, of course, the letter is not going to be a monoline letter about significance. And then in the letter, we can say, as it is now, if you were put in a still location, that would add to the historically validity of the structure, yes. At this point, we cannot comment on scope of work because it was not given to us. And we are very aware that there are certain changes that could be done to this structure that would actually diminish, if not destroy, the historical significance of it. Very simple.
I make a motion to make a voting around the historical significance of the basement documents and the ticket booth.
A second.
Motion is to vote on the historical significance of the basement documents. Vice Chair Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar. Did you say yes, Luis?
Yeah, I said yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
And the chair abstains because I'm torn on this. But the motion carries. And in my letter, I want you to know, I will write that we have not seen them, but if everything it's as it is significant. But you will get to approve my letter, so.
I'm confused. I don't get what's in what way you are not agreeing with this. Like, what is the
because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen all the pages.
Okay, so
but it doesn't matter. I respect your decision. And I just, in my conscience, I feel I cannot vote on something that I can't see through.
But I think that's what I was trying to ask you before. Like, what is the thing that we should need to vote tonight as guidance? Because if you say that we cannot vote about the documents of the basement because of the reasons you're presenting, we should not vote on those. If the task is to make a voting about historical significance of two specific projects that we're being presented as, then that's what we should do.
Luis, my job is to point out possible problematic in the sense that, I mean, so we had two arguments. One, mine, that we can't verify what Olivia says. The other argument was Olivia is a respected member of the community, somebody who has great experience in preservation. And she says that she has looked through and she believes that they're intact enough and significant. So as commissioner, you can decide if the word of Olivia or Ms. Mausel is good enough. I think it's legitimate. It's your decision, but I think in the process and in pointing out things, it's important to point out that.
I mean, that's clear, and I respect your opinion around those things. Mm-hmm. I'm just pointing that when we make a motion to vote around the significance of these two things, like, I don't understand why you abstain, because it's not an opinion about, is this an opinion about voting, or is an opinion about this specific project? That's the part that I'm confused.
Okay, okay. If you want to know, I don't think I have to explain this, but I'm abstaining because I didn't want to go with a vote of no against the commission, because I didn't want you to perceive as disrespect towards you. But again, I wanted to abstain because of the statement that I made about not having seen them. And it's the vote that I feel comfortable going with. And I think that it's okay to respect it.
I do respect that, but I try to understand so we can respect it more.
Okay.
My questions are not questioning your opinion. I'm just.
And again, because I haven't seen them, I can't vote yes or no. Because it's true I cannot vote yes, but because I haven't seen through, I cannot vote no.
I didn't hear that opinion of yours before. That's what my point is that when I ask for advice of how to proceed, I think what I'm expecting is your opinion around, okay, I think we should not vote about this, and we should vote about this other thing. Or we should not vote about any of this. I'm trying to move forward in the meeting tonight, and I don't see clarity about this.
I am okay with your vote of yes, because in the letter we will explain that we could not look through the document. So when it goes to CPA, because basically this could be money incredibly well spent, because if all the documents check out and they're saved and they can be opened, that will be greatly well spent.
I think we're not communicating right about one thing. I didn't even talk about the documents or the basement. This is, I think, I'm not even at that point. We're not even discussing about either the basement documents or the ticket booth. The motion was to just open the voting about those things. But that's it.
Was that the motion?
Yes.
Did I misunderstand the motion completely?
That was our confusion with B and C. And I think none of us.
Are you there? Who made the motion? Was Elana made the motion, right?
I made the motion.
No, Louis made the motion.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, well, this was a big misunderstanding. Okay, so let's make a motion again. So the motion was Attorney Deegan, how do we undo and what do we are in a pickle now?
I would suggest that to Louise's point is you're basically looking to make a motion to discuss. You know, you don't have to, the applications for historical significance, you don't have to make the vote tonight.
Okay.
Since there was one, and it sounds like there was, you voted on historical significance. If I understand that right, you can simply, just to be clear for the minutes, make a motion to rescind the vote on the, I think it was the documents. So if you folks just rescind the vote that you just made, then you can go forward with opening up the discussion to discuss the historical significance.
Perfect. And Louise, I apologize for misunderstanding you.
My only concern was just to be clear about this.
No, thank you. So let's make a motion immediately to rescind the vote.
Okay.
I make a motion to rescind our last vote. Is that acceptable?
A second.
Motion is to rescind our last vote.
A second.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were just repeating.
It's late. Commissioner Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar.
He said yes. We're good.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
And the chair votes Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, now let's go back. Please, I can have a motion to discuss historical significance of the ticket booth and the basement journals.
I make a motion to discuss the historical significance of the basement documents of City Hall and the Mountain Park ticket booth.
Second.
Motion to open discussion on the historical significance of ticket books and basement City Hall basement document. Vice Chair Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar.
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion carry. Let's open the discussion.
Well, I think for me, the City Hall basement is an absolute atrocity for archiving, for public records, for the city of Holyoke and any city that is intent on preserving the records of the past. I can really appreciate the challenge that they're in, given both the conditions of the actual room that these documents are in, the risks that it poses for people to be in that environment, but more importantly, the longer those documents sit in that kind of environment, the worse off they're going to be. And I think we need to be prepared that if we do move forward and give this historic significance, that there's a high likelihood that a lot of that will be lost in the process. And that we kind of have to acknowledge that there may be a significant loss of records within the city of Holyoke. So, if this does move forward, I personally feel without a doubt there's a significant historic significance to these documents. There's no doubt in my mind. I will just, should we take them one at a time and just focus on the basement first and then the Mountain Park thing? How about we do that? Yeah. So those are my 2 cents. I would absolutely vote for historic significance for the basement. Basement Papers, which used to be the name of our school newspaper when I was in high school.
And I agree with you, Alana. Just if this doesn't happen, what's going to happen in another year, another 2 years? It's going to be worse and worse.
And please let me say that, of course, we don't have a comment from the public at the beginning, and we have been keeping a policy of let the public speak if you raise your hands and you want to make comments. So, of course, the public is always welcome to make comments.
I mean, I think there's like no, it's clear that, you know, if we don't do something about those documents, they're gonna be lost. And I think, as Paula mentioned before, I think just Olivia's opinion, it's a respected and informed opinion. I think that's like we consider the opinion of an expert. So there's no way to know unless we first, you know, restore or clean up, deodorize, remove the mold of these documents. There's no way to know further than that. So it's in this case where the experts have the last word. And I think, I mean, this is a very clear dilemma. It's not that complicated. I think it's very straightforward. Like, if there's no chance to see what's in those documents yet, is the assumption of the expert that what matters. And that has been the case in multiple cases, not just in this situation.
So in a way, we are going for it's almost like going for the historical significance of an archaeological dig.
Correct. It's the same way. Yeah.
Lisbeth, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation?
I'm trying to follow along, and I think I'm following along pretty well.
Sure.
I'm just a little confused. I mean, we say that we take, what's her name, Olivia?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
We say that she's well respected. And I understand that motion's not up for like to preserve those documents, but I'm just like confused. None of us could go down there and really check. So why can't we take her word for it? I mean, and I'm new at all this, so I'm just, you know.
We are all agreed
like
on
if
that.
She's. Oh, okay.
We are all agreed that we should take her word for this.
Yeah, because I mean, if we all say that she's well respected and that she's the real deal, I get it. I get that we haven't seen the documents, but we have somebody that's well respected in the community that's seen the documents.
Mm-hmm.
That's all my confusion. I'm just
that's a perfect.
It's my first day.
Natural question.
That's fine.
I think the other side of that is also we have the city clerk who, you know, she has an investment in, you know, maintaining things in City Hall to an extent.
Right.
I'm sure that you know, that can also speak to the sort of truthfulness behind this request. That
right.
Inherited this, as Olivia mentioned, and it's potentially likely that Brenna would never have let these things get to that point if she had known that they were. We just don't know. So in terms of that piece, yeah, it's a really good point to make. So thank you.
And you all had a chance to see the scope of work that was submitted, and it was very professional, very well done.
Okay.
Can I speak?
We have Peter.
Oh, sorry, Peter.
So I'm not a member of the Historic Commission. I was a member of the Historic Commission back in 2010. I was an associate member when the Historic Commission toured the basement. I was just digging up all my boxes and I had to find my old hard drive. I was looking for my photos from then. I wanted to see if I had any photos of the documents from back then. And there were some documents. There was some flooding back then. And I believe since that time, a lot of the documents and a lot of the things that were down there were taken out. They were saved or restored, or they were inventoried. There were things like photos I didn't share, which were like canceled checks from, I don't remember what department. There were just piles of them down there. It was like a treasure trove of stuff, and nobody went down there. So I don't know what's changed between now and then. But I'm kind of shocked that there's still anything was left down there from the last clean out. It was really bad back then. There was water on the floor and flooding, and there were sections you couldn't go into. And it's a shame because it is kind of like an archaeological dig. There there was some really old things down there. I'm just really surprised that that hasn't been completely dealt with by now. And I realize there's a lot of work that needs to be done on City Hall. Last time I walked past it there, it was looking at some of the work that needs to be done. But I just wanted to add that, you know, that Olivia and I had already gone on that tour back in 2010. And I commend Olivia for bringing this issue back up again and these documents that need to be rescued before they're lost forever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about we make a motion and save some documents here?
I make a motion that we, oh, who was doing that? Somebody else was speaking.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead,
I make a motion that we attribute historic significance to the proposal for the basement.
No, the document. We are to the document themselves.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say basement documents, but the documents in City Hall.
I second that.
So the motion is to declare the document in the City Hall basement historically significant. Vice Chair Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar.
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm gonna abstain, damn it, because I got something here. And the motion carries.
Okay, I make do we have to make a motion to do the mountain park, or it's all?
I think
yes?
we can go right into
Kathy's
it.
saying yes, so
oh.
I make a motion that we move on to the next item of reviewing the historic significance of the mountain park ticket booth.
I second that.
Okay, the motion is to review the historical significance of the mountain park ticket booth. Vice Chair Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Yes, Chris.
Well, I just appreciate Don's speaking. I think we just have to really look. We don't have all the materials as requested. I mean, we worked so hard with the itinerary, instructions, writing all of the issues that we've had. They have not been presented to us. I do have another question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at some point, can we just specifically say, I know Don had brought it that, or maybe with everything that's going on, this meeting was specifically for the next meeting. Can we just put this, maybe not even table it, or just simply stay? I don't know. I'm just trying to think what to say. Sorry, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, again, we had very specific deadline. There is nowhere in where it's written that if people don't submit by the 6th, that we can turn them down. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to ask them to submit the full scope of restoration?
Well, but there wouldn't be a deadline for him if he's just asking for historical significance, correct?
No, the full, again, what is important here is we don't know how the booth has been restored up to now.
Right.
So, and he says he could provide a full scope of picture of the step-by-step restoration.
But in terms of the timeline that we have, the proof, the workflow with CPA,
Exactly.
what is next? Like, I mean, is there space for that? Because I think if there's no space for that, it's clear that we have.
No, again, we have very full agenda. We'll have a full agenda with other things next month. We'll be seeing them again on the 14th, and me having to write a letter on the 21st. But once we make an exception for one person, we have to make an exception for all. And do we want to do that?
I mean, we work so hard. Sorry, go ahead.
But now I guess that's where I'm just confused. He's not looking for monies. He's just looking for historical significance.
No, we are looking, yes. Well, of course, I mean, we're doing this within CPA, is looking for historical significance through CPA to get to then go and continue the application for, we are within a workflow for a very specific application for a grant.
Okay.
As a result of that, I'm definitely not in favor of tabling this. I think we should be making a determination based on the conditions that were set for everybody.
I make a motion to vote about the historical significance of the Mountain Park ticket booth.
And so the motion, we need somebody to second it.
Louis, say the motion again. I just want to.
The motion is to make a vote about the historical significance of the Mountain Park ticket booth.
Okay. My second.
Okay, motion to make to vote on the historical significance of the sticker booth. Commission Vice Chair Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm hearing the vote, the language of the vote correctly. So we are just voicing our opinion, yay or nay, as to the historical significance, or we're just saying we want to vote on the historic significance.
We're gonna vote in order to vote about it.
Okay, so then we're going to need another motion to actually cast our vote. No. Because there's no language
tonight.
There's no language in this motion that says, you know, make a motion to approve this. You know what I mean? So that's why let's make sure I know for sure. So I'm saying.
So we have a motion on the table now. So at this point, we have to go through and vote on this, and then make another vote first to vote because it's on the table.
Got it. You heard my vote?
Yes.
You can always make a motion to amend your vote.
Yeah, it's too much. Then might as well do another one, Peter. Commissioner Salazar.
I mean, I'm voting to yes to vote about this matter.
Yes. Commissioner Rodriguez.
I agree with Commissioner Salazar. I vote to vote on this matter. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you just say yes. And the chair votes yes. I forgot you?
No, we all voted. Can we just maybe ask Attorney Degnan? You can tell she wants to say something.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you. I thought you already voted on whether or not to discuss the historical significance, but now from what I've heard, you just done it again.
Okay.
So now that's good. So now you said, okay, you're going to make a determination whether or not this is historically significant. So that's the next step.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
One question is, okay, so I will be writing a letter. So I have not really heard your opinion on this. Do you think the booth is significant or not by the criteria that we have and what we have been presented with? So and again, you want to consider all of the criteria. So it's definitely in terms of social history is important. But then also, is the structure preserved enough and properly to be that? And also, does the location where it will be put influence its significance? Because that's right on the National Register description. When it's a structure, the location matters. So
Yeah.
you want to consider all of those parts.
I mean, we hear all these arguments for a long time. It's clear based on the most recent conversation that the information is not complete, and that we cannot delay the process anymore. So I think in just my opinion, of course, we have all the elements to make an informed opinion about this. Yes, I'm open to discuss about why, based on Paola's criteria, we can discuss about those things. But I feel like we have plenty. I think it's very, but it's just my opinion. I'm not making any motion this time.
Please give me a motion.
Question?
Yes, go ahead.
If the commission votes that this is not historically significant at this time, does that prohibit the applicant from bringing it forward at a future date?
No, if we specify that we didn't have sufficient information.
I see. I'm just thinking that you really want to talk to Dan Mason, the man who did the work on the building, and when you can talk to him, I mean, then you can make a better determination.
Yeah,
That's
but it was not, and that's what I was trying to point out. But the documentation was not brought in time.
Well, that is our answer then. We have to follow our rules that we have set forth.
Yeah.
No more discussion. I mean,
I'm feeling that I'm saying things that we are actually deciding to move forward, and I get backfire. So please, I know that it's 8:26. I also want to go home. So let's try to stay on track.
Motion.
I make a motion to vote about the significance, the historical significance of the Mountain Park ticket booth.
No. The motion is
to determine the historical significance of the.
No, the motion should be we're voting. Basically, should be in the positive. So we're voting. The motion is to vote for the ticket booth to be historically significant. And so that should be the motion. It should be in the positive and just stating what it is. So we're voting on we're voting for the ticket booth to be historically significant.
Chris, can you help me with that?
It's like going right through me again. I make a motion to declare the ticket booth of historical significance.
And I second that.
Okay.
So the motion is to declare the ticket booth of historical for significant. You vote yes, you vote it's significant, you vote no, it's not significant. Vice Chair Gauthier.
No.
Vice Chair Aubrey.
Nice try. No.
Oh, Commissioner Aubrey. Commissioner Souza.
No.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
No.
And the chair votes no, and it's unanimous.
Okay.
And that's conclude our CPA adventure for tonight.
Okay. Item 5.
I make a motion that we hold on. Sorry,
We don't need a motion, I think, for this. We just
need to move on.
Okay.
The
No, I
chair
know. I was just gonna
So,
So it's
Discussion of the MHC.
fiscal year 23 survey and planning grants.
all right, so just very quickly, we received, so November is the date to apply for historical survey and planning grant. We got the communication from Mass Historic. I believe the deadline for them to receive the paperwork is November 14 or 19. I'm not 100% sure. I wrote all the department. I wrote the two city historian, so the history room, the museum, OPED and planning, asking if they were gonna ask for any grant for survey and which ones. I have not gotten an answer, but all I'm asking here from you guys is permission for me to write a request to put in for a survey, for a grant for Wyckoff Park.
I make a motion that we allow Paula to submit, I'm sorry, I just totally lost the
To
language.
write and submit.
Write and submit a letter in support of, you said historic significance of Wicker Park?
No, to write basically it's to write
Letter of support?
the first proposal for a survey grant of Wyckoff Park.
Okay. So I make a motion that we give permission for Paula to submit the first proposal for a survey regarding Wicker Park.
I second.
For a survey grant, yeah.
Survey grant.
So the motion is to allow me to write and submit the first proposal for a grant for a survey of Wyckoff Park.
Mhm.
Vice Chair Gauthier,
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I vote yes, and I hope I can get it in on time, but I'm gonna try.
Okay.
One of the things that I have to do is also make sure that we can get a commitment for matching if we get it. I hope we will. Item 6, Blue Sky Tower 3. So you saw the letter and material that we have gotten so far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, since we did this, and so this is actually kind of huge because again, we'll be talking about section 106 that applies to this and applies to the burying the cable at Scott's Tower. So I've been in touch with, so normally, again, we need to write a response for this tower, and Mass Historic has, we have the right to have some pushback in terms of this antenna and asking for more material. In some cases, we can even ask to bring a balloon up to altitude to see how tall the tower is. Now, let me just do a quick thing here, go to my note. All right. So basically, let me share screen. There is all documentation, there's a all contract where there are the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, and the National Conference of State Historic Preservation Office have come to an agreement. And Peter, when I was researching this, your building came to mind with those dishes. And basically there is a certain amount of pushback that we can do on these towers. Of course, we wanna all look reasonable, do what's best for historic Holyoke, but also I will send you this documentation for our next meeting. But what is really hard here, you know, every time we have gotten requests for comments, when I reach out to the engineers or planning, I have not gotten any useful comment back. And partially it's just because I think it goes back to the fact that in Holyoke, we don't have a preservation specialist position. I think they would partially help us to deal with this. But so right now we are dealing with that tower, and we want to make sure that our view and, you know, and our historical experience on our side is not terribly compromised by it. So we want to do all the due diligence, but I don't know, again, I will be studying this document very carefully, and I will ask Attorney Deegan for some guidance. But I want to make sure that I move properly.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have some time. The key here is continuing to keep the conversation open with Chicopee, and the engineer is being very nice. He did not send rendering to us, but he sent us all the documentation that I have sent you. So that, because the moment we don't respond, it looks like we comply.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the tower at Watt 72 Sargent happened. Cherry Street and Sargent. Chris, you remember that big tower in front of CVS?
Yep.
So we have to be very much on the ball with this, because if you look back at the minutes, every time we had, and you know, it's a learning process, and we trusted our staff, but every time there was an antenna, you know, we were told by staff, oh, it's just a 106. And since there are already antennas around, you know, we don't need to reply. And all these antennas have now popped out around town.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we have to be very careful with.
Okay.
And be on the ball for it. I understand it's new, it's very complicated. Did any of you had a chance to review the material, and do you have any comments for me?
I did went through the material, and I feel like it's, you know, I think there's multiple things to evaluate. I think the pictures are great in terms of reference. I like the idea of having that red balloon, and actually the schematics of the tower.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should find a time to go and see, and you know, with the printing the images, having a reference in the real world, and see how, you know, that what's gonna look like.
And I can certainly convey that to them, and I can put it on an official letter. I'll send an email, and I'll have an official letter for you to sign. next time. And so that's very useful, Luis. And if you can send me all those points in an email.
Sounds good.
Jennifer, are you there? Jennifer?
Yes.
Jennifer, have you done any work on section 106?
I have not.
Thank you. Just checking. Okay, so good. So this covers it. And I send you the fun article in the first package. Now I will send you all the link to the legal language and the other parts. Oh, Attorney Deegan, do you want to say something?
You're on mute.
Yeah, okay. No, I just wanted to indicate that I have not had an opportunity to look at this, but you've indicated that you want some guidance, so we'll have to set up a time to do that. And this is no big deal. My name is pronounced Degnan. I know it's kind of hard. A lot of people say, you know, have found various ways, and it's not a big deal. Just want to clarify.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
You have the right to call me Paola now. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
Call you that. Not a problem. That's okay.
Degman. Why can't
N with an N?
It's an N.
Degman. All right, I got it.
Not an issue.
And because I don't want to take city time, I will read the document. And I read some of it, and I can highlight the parts that I find hard to comprehend, and then send it in, so it will save you some time.
So I would like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting, and that in the interim, Paula sends a letter to the folks about visiting the sites.
Visiting the site?
Isn't that what we're asking to do?
Yes. A site visit. Yes.
Okay. To Chicopee?
Yes.
No, to go and look in the real world, confront the pictures that we have in the documentation with going into the spot that we can see these like projection.
Yeah. So I think I'm right in that. So maybe we should move to go in person to the site on the Holyoke side. And then I'll write a letter on what we need more. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's where I was headed with that. What I said.
Not side.
Okay, so I make a motion that we reach out to the cell tower folks to schedule a site visit, and then subsequently have Paula send a letter.
Okay, so you want them, so I understand, we want them with us at the site visit. Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
So the motion is that I write I don't want to say the folks of the, okay. I think my brain power is a little bit gone, but do you have the agenda in front of you? What is
You're gonna write a letter to Blue Sky Tower.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm in communication with Blue Sky Tower. I think it's, okay, hold on. 939 Chicopee. So I'm writing that I write to, yeah, I'd be writing to Christopher Lucas, who is the consultant for for Blue Tower. Okay. So that I will write to Christopher Lucas. Yeah. Okay. And request a site visit. And okay, so Vice Chair Gauthier?
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez? Oh,
where'd she go?
Oh, she
We lost her.
lost her. And let the record show that that Commissioner Rodriguez left at 8:44. And I vote yes. Okay, so point 7 is huge. Again, it's a 106. It's for, so I received on October 4th a communication from Alicia Zoller saying here's an appendix A for the project's Ascot Tower for burying the cable. And we expect your comments in 30 days. And I said, so I asked, can you send us the project? Can you send us some information? And she sent us the copy of the grant, the block grant that was written to bury the cable. But again, this is a 106, section 106 is huge. So basically what happened, they send this Appendix X, they have to send it to Mass Historic because Scott's Tower is a site that could be listed on the National Register. And once MAC received that letter, they write back and say, we need comments from the Historical Commission. So I wrote and I said, you know, because we are a certified local government and because, you know, of section 106, we actually have the right to be an active consultant and member on this project. So why haven't we been informed? And I wrote Alicia, can we have a phone call? But I didn't hear back. And then, you know, when I solicited material today at 4:45, I got an email from Yoni saying, you know, I'll be glad to talk to the commission about the project. When are you meeting next time? And I said, you know, Yoni, I'm meeting tonight. I CC'd Aaron, Jennifer, Alicia on this. And I said, but, you know, I'm not pleased because we should have been kept on the loop on this project. It's a huge project. There's the landscaping of the park that partially still exists, the tower. I think an archaeological, let me look at my note. The potential archaeological factor on it should be counted on. This is a really big project. So, and I don't think we can submit comment in 30 days. So just before the meeting, I got an email from Alicia saying, what do you mean? We send you all the documentation, the map, the scope, everything. And we don't have it. And I look on the drive that we have online and we don't have it. There isn't a, when I look under the part that says grants, you know, wherever I look on the drive that's made for us, those documents are not there. So Alicia was irritated. I didn't have time to respond. I respond saying, you know, I'm sorry, but we don't have it. When did you send them? When were they sent? To whom they were sent? But again, and so apparently 30-day response is mandatory, but of course, we need an extension here. I hope we can get an extension because we were not, as far as I know, those documents, I don't know when they were sent, but certainly unless I'm 59 years old, I might have blank, but I have no memory of reviewing and receiving those documents.
And they weren't shared with us either. So, I mean, none of us has reviewed it. So
no.
I think at this point, we have to take this under advisement. So, you know, the idea that we're going to be reviewing our project notification form, that we don't actually have the materials to review it, you know, makes it a you know, non-existent point until we get those documents.
Exactly. And the other thing, this is when it's very good that we acknowledge in our certified local government that our inventory and our documents,
right,
you know, we're in limbo. So, and in good faith, I said, we haven't received them. So, and I don't know if Richard received them or what happened, but I'm planning to get to this, and we'll know more by next meeting.
Did she say it was an email or added to the drive? Was it?
No, she basically wrote, let's see. And I can share email with the commission for the next meeting. With due respect, the Holyoke Historical Commission was consulted as soon as the department became legally obligated to do so, and as soon as MHC filling was completed by the project consultant GZA. A 30-day comment period is the timeline for the federal review. The HEC has been provided with the MHC project documentation, including the MHC project notification form, maps, project description, and request. So yeah, I mean, okay, so those documents, so that I included in the package, we have, but I feel they're very limited documents.
Okay.
So we have, so they provided that documents to us that you saw in the in the file, but when I saw those documents, you know, the first thing I said was, this is really not enough for us to make a determination because we don't know anything else about the project.
Okay.
And
so more information will follow then.
We'll see. Again, and you reviewed that packet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I felt there was very little information there.
Okay. Yeah.
Do I hear a consent?
Yes.
I mean, the grant that's already, you know, put together. We have no context, no, you know, cover letter, no phone call saying like, you know, we have this is this is what we're trying to accomplish, and this is how we're doing this. This is what we need from you, which is a very simple thing to ask. I think, sure. And when did you get these documents?
October 4th.
So.
And then I start asking questions. And, you know, I asked for the grant, so they send a copy of the grant. And then as I research and review more, you know, and I talk to some preservationists and stuff, it became clear this is a huge project. And of course, burying cables, electric cable at Scott's Tower is great. It's a good thing to do. It's safe. But, you know, if you look, I mean, it's an iconic road up. There's still terrace, there's still trail. You know, it's a very important site. From the documentation, and you know, it might be us, but I can't understand where those cable will be buried.
Right. There's certain details that if they are promptly responded, we can have a conversation.
Exactly. But again, Enyoni hopefully will, technically our next meeting is
November.
yeah, but still, again, we don't have a preservation consultant on board. They knew this is a process. The Mass Historic eventually would have asked to comment on this. It's really very hard and not feasible for us to crank out comments so our meeting on the 19th, I received just the Appendix A, which is, by the way, the full document. It's deceiving. It's called appendix, but it's just a document in an appendix to Section 106. But for a commission that has to review, meet, and put out a letter, submission to October 4th, no review until the 19th, and then trying to put out something for November 4th is very hard. And again, there's a part, if we don't submit anything, it will be taken as we're going along with the project. So I think it's really important for us to write comments that, and and again, this is a project where it's a site that could be on the National Register. We should have really been kept on the loop at every step.
I agree.
I think this project has this project has a lot of relevance. So what can we do on our end? Like, what's the way to
I mean,
work?
I already contacted people at SHAPO. I haven't gotten an answer because it's the top person, which is the state historic preservation officer. And I will write again and saying, this is our situation. We're trying to look at this. We are in a situation where we can possibly submit comments in 30 days. At a theoretical level, we think that the bearing of cable at Scotts Tower is a good thing, but we are not in a situation where we could offer comments from an historical perspective.
Quick thing, our next meeting is the 14th or the 7th. I'm just trying to time this out in terms of
the second Monday.
Okay, the 14th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and then I am assuming the deadline for them is the second week of November or the third week of November.
Well, I got this document on the 4th, and Alicia said you have 30 days to comments. So I will write back and ask, when did you receive this document? Did you receive it on the 4th and send it to us on the 4th? And does it mean that November 4th is our last day to comment? Of course, it's a big grant for the city, and of course we want the grant to go through, but this is not a good way to deal with us. Actually, no, that's very poorly worded. This is not an efficient way to make sure that the historical commission is properly involved in the process, which we should be because we're talking about historical patrimony. Okay.
A question?
Mm-hmm.
Is the chair opposed to scheduling a meeting specifically for this in, say, 2 weeks or something like that?
I am not, except my commissioner will kill me probably.
I mean, if the commission wants to have a hand in this, then it would need to jump on it and have another meeting soon.
Again, Peter, I do, this is, and again, you're of the public and you're saying this, but, you know, again, here it sounds like it's on us to jump through hoops to make this happen. And it's really not. So again, we do what we can do, and maybe at this point, the best that we can do is write to Mass Historic and say, I'm sorry, we are in a situation where we have not been able to, we have not received enough information, we have not been involved enough, we don't have enough staff to make the comment in 30 days. But please don't think that we have reviewed the grant, the project. Again, so that's an important thing to think about. We can certainly try to scale. I mean, again, Yoni, I've been writing and including him since October 4th. He sent me an email tonight asking when the next meeting was to present.
Is he responsible for this grant? Like he?
Yeah, it's through conservation.
Well, I think it's now balancing on. Okay, it's great. We can actually definitely try to help as much as we can. Like even the meeting, like if it's like half an hour, 45 minutes, we can on Zoom. We can actually. I don't want to speak for everybody, but
okay, pull out your calendars, guy.
No, I think we need to hear from him first. Like I think, I mean that's number one. What is the actual, if he can put, you know, when he can present this properly, and when we can actually have time to think or research or think about it. You know, it's not just the chat. We need to actually go through documentation.
So so we can ask for him to present the project. Between now and October 29th.
Ilana, I think we're going to run into challenges again of trying to schedule this meeting. I can also speak for myself. Now that I'm on another commission, I'm also on the Tourism Advisory Commission meeting. It's very difficult for me to schedule in a second meeting at this point. Especially we're already meeting later than we normally would in November or in October because of the holiday last week.
And we might just take the other route that we just say, you know, given the situation, given the way this was handled, we can't offer comments at this point. And we don't go to Mass Historic, but we simply say we cannot offer comments. But if, you know, Scott's Tower ends up being severely damaged from a preservation point of view, it's on you. You know? And simply, you know, because again, we have to see what we can do. And truly at this point, there's very little we can do.
Yes.
You know,
so
again,
I think we should I think we should basically we all think express our opinions. I don't know your opinion, Grace, but I think we should move forward. I think we cannot discuss about something that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then I am hoping that Johnny can catch up with us as soon as possible.
And
You get that.
so I'm understanding correctly that we don't, and it's true, have time to meet before, you know, the 30th. I don't think we can.
Well, what is his, we need a response from him first.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
I support that. Should we move to item 7?
Yeah.
I thought that's what we were just doing.
We already did.
Yeah. We were just on number 7.
No, we did.
Board of Commission attending other meeting.
Yeah. Can we table that one? Can I make a motion to table number 8, please?
Okay.
And maybe jump to 10, perhaps?
Well, we need, so there's a motion. I need a second.
Second.
I'm assuming Olivia's still here, but I would hear what she has to say about a possible training. Hi, Olivia.
That's right.
You don't like me wearing everything you can because you don't want to turn the heat on, does you?
No, but we need to make him, if you make a motion to table, we need it to second, then we need to vote on it.
Chris seconded.
I seconded it. Now we got to vote. Yes.
Okay. So Commissioner Gauthier,
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar,
Yes.
Commissioner Audrey,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. All right, so now number
10.
9.
9.
Is it number 9? Sorry.
Oh, we have update on organizing and distributing minutes.
Right, but my motion was to skip to number 10, and it was seconded. So
oh, okay.
To skip number 8. Yeah, I know.
I thought the motion was to table number 8.
Yes.
Sorry, table number 8 and then jump to number 9. That was seconded.
Okay, but number 9 is important. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm just trying to use of Olivia's time.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I was just gonna say, can we make a motion to go out of order if needed, to go to 10?
Mm-hmm. I need a second.
Second
that.
All right. So Commissioner Salazar.
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Gauthier.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Number 10. So Olivia sent this. There's a workshop on line for Mass Historic, but you were saying, Olivia, you would like to offer it in person?
Well, I'd like to offer the commissioners and the new commissioners a walkthrough on some of the questions they have about, basic commission information, like the chapter 40, section 8. They're really the basic mass general laws that we work under. And it's really a blueprint of how commissions work. And it's not just Holyoke, it's commissions all through the state. Open, and there's another section called open meeting laws, which we need to know about. How local historic district commission ties into the general historic commission. And there's other things like MACRIS, how do you find out about historic properties and the resources. There's a lot of resources that you have available to you. I don't pretend to know everything. I don't pretend to know anything. I just kind of I want to walk you through some things and be interactive. That's the last thing you need is another meeting on your agenda. I understand that. So if we and you can talk about it and let me know. I'm available to you. We can bring in Pioneer Valley people. We can bring in Mass Historic people to help work through some of the things and some of the questions you have. So you can let me know. I'm available. I'm not going anywhere. So you can follow it up in a discussion at some point in time. I just wanted to let you know that there are resources out there, that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's a lot of it's already been invented, and we can tap in on some of those resources. So that's all I wanted to say.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm available, so you can let me know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Olivia. I make a motion that we go back out of order, back to number 8. Or sorry, number 9, whatever.
Number 9. Oh.
The one that's about whatever.
Luis, you're muted.
Yes, Commissioners, I just want to go back. What was decided with item number 7, which was the grant application?
That I will be writing Yoni, asking when he could present to us. Okay. And I will write Alicia asking, yes, we got the material in Appendix A, but we would like to see much more detailed plans of these projects in order to make comments.
And did everyone vote on that?
No, we didn't.
Well, you.
Okay, so let's
vote.
So,
sorry,
can I have a motion?
I'm sorry. What I'm suggesting is that Commissioner Paula just indicated that what was decided item number 7 is that she would write a letter to Yoni and Alicia asking for additional information with respect to the grant. So the motion would be, a vote to write Yoni and Alicia for more information. That's all. And you vote yes if you wanted to do that, yes. And if you don't want to do that, you vote no.
Yeah.
I make a motion. Our chair writes a letter to Yoni and Alicia for further information.
And possible a presentation from Yoni?
Yes, for Anniversary Hill.
A second.
Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
Chair Gauthier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you, Attorney.
Wait. We have to acknowledge our new commissioner. Do we say anything, or just acknowledge that she's left the meeting?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I did acknowledge that she left the meeting.
So we don't.
Before I think
at 8:44. Yes.
At 8:44. Okay.
Just checking.
Commissioners, would it be all right if I left the meeting now?
Yes. And thank you for your time and help.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great evening. You too.
So do we want to finish up the meeting with an update on the minutes, whatever number that is?
Number 9.
I do have a few things that I have to tell you about new business. They're just an announcement, but I do have to tell you.
Okay, go ahead. Well, I mean, do we need to talk about the distribution of minutes discussion?
Well, we need a vote on that. What we did basically, I think what we decided to do, and we talked with Attorney Chris and I had some correspondence and a call with Attorney Degnan and talk with Chris. And I think what we're gonna do is that Jen is not gonna distribute minutes directly. She's gonna send them to Chris. And Chris will look them over before he distributes them, so that he can make sure that we get minutes in a state that that can be approved quickly and swiftly with few comments.
to get us back on track again.
And the other thing is that for the meeting, for the minutes of July, we can have a subcommittee to work at them. But of 3 people, if you like, to fix them. But at this point, we're up to par. The only one that have to be fixed are the July minutes. Am I correct, Chris?
I believe you're correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe, yes.
And did you resolve the issue of uploading the right one for June?
Yes, I believe that was done as well, but I will make sure I did.
Perfect. So we need a motion that we can ask Jennifer to send the minutes to Chris for review before they're distributed.
I make a motion that we ask Jen to send the minutes to the recording secretary. Gosh, I can't even talk either. Motion.
I make a motion to for Jennifer to submit the minutes first to the secretary and then to be then later distributed by hand.
I second that.
So the motion is for Jen to submit the draft of the minutes to the secretary and then the secretary to review and then distribute, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gauthier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Excellent.
Okay.
New business.
All right. So new business. We have been asked to participate and march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I wrote the chair of the planning board and said, did they ask you to march in the parade? And they said, I don't know 100% for sure, but no. So, for how I understand the commission, I don't think it's really appropriate.
Oh, come on. We can all dress up as different, historical figures of Holyoke. And
we did it.
A stained glass window in City Hall. Come on.
Well, that was the tradition. Do you want to continue that tradition?
I've already done it once with the historical commission. Louis?
Not necessarily a new thing. It's just somebody.
How about you think about it and I'll write them that we'll let them know in November.
We're considering it, yes.
Okay.
Our people will talk to their people.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'll distribute with a letter. Mass inventory will be ready, the new communication at the end of the month, and there will be a link. I will distribute you the letter.
Okay.
I have been in contact with faculty at Roger Williams University.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I have to write the job description, but they will give us an intern.
Beautiful.
That can work up to 10 hours a week for us and at least start fixing not the inventory on the server, but fix the drive, our drive, in a way that makes sense.
Perfect.
I have to write the proposal. You have to write on me writing the proposal. And then next year, there are several students that will be taking preservation law.
Wow.
And hold on, let me just see something. Because I'm spacing out. So So Elaine Style is a faculty member there. She will be teaching the preservation law class. And she said, and I have no problem for the spring, you can have an intern that will be in the preservation law class and can help you with preservation law issue as you go along as an intern, and they'll be able to talk to me about your issue. So Section 106, all kinds of preservation law stuff. We could have an intern that can help us in depth.
Very cool.
So I just need a motion to vote to write the description for this semester for somebody to request an intern to reorganize the Historical Commission Drive.
I make a motion to write a request in summary of for an intern to reorganize our archive.
Second.
Commissioner Salazar?
Yes.
Commissioner Aubrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Gauthier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Excellent. Old business. I wrote Jennifer if she heard anything about the access district. We should get a communication whether it was made into a district or not. As of a couple of days ago, she had not heard. And that's very important for us to know, because it's my understanding that Mass Historic is asking more and more for recent pictures of building in order to approve a district. So I think if this district is not approved, it's a pretty good gauge of where building needs to be for a district to go forth. And, it will give us data or an understanding of what we need to do to make sure the things are preserved in a certain way so that more historic district can be added.
Okay.
I'm sure I forget something in new business, but for now, that's all I got.
So just one last comment for Joseph, if he's still in fact here. This meeting is sort of an anomaly. Our meetings do not typically last this long, not even close. So I just want to say that out loud, that we had a lot on the agenda tonight to cover, but normally we do not stretch out to the 4-hour mark, not even close. So hopefully you're hearing that, Joseph.
I'm still here. I'm here for the long haul. So
and I hope we didn't. I hope we didn't terrify you here.
Not at all.
Okay.
I was terrified, by the way, about this. I have to say that, like, it's important for us to, like, even though we get into certain knots, to understand that we work out very hard to be like in the same page about things, and that it's important to assume the best of the others in terms of the discussion. And like I say, in three different instances, I said something, it was rebuked, and then eventually we ended up doing the same thing. And I feel that that took us at least 40 minutes of discussion throughout this meeting. And I think it's 9:23. I also want to make a commentary about the heftiness of the agenda. I think just the CPA part, it's its importance. I think that is something that we should probably take more time and be more thorough. And I think having another 6 or 7 items below that make it really hard and challenging. I think I understand that there's a lot of things on our plate, but also we have to be kind of like more, the last 40% of the meeting, we're all like losing our minds and tired. And I think we made a great effort to still be here. And I'm going to stop talking after this, but I think it is, we should ponder those things. I also suggest that we can have like an informal way to just roll with the agenda and kind of time ourselves throughout the process, so we can have a much cleaner performance. And I can volunteer for that. I can help to just make sure that we are, and I will have a double espresso that day, but it's fine. I think I can handle it. And that's it.
I commend our commission. We don't have to.
I commend our commission and make a motion to
end the commission.
End the meeting, not the commission. Somebody second, quick.
Louis.
So there's so Elanis, everybody was talking. You made a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did make a motion. Sorry, I make a motion that we finish tonight's meeting. It's 9:25.
Motion to adjourn. All right, Commissioner Gauthier.
Yes.
Commissioner Audrey.
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar.
Yes.
And I vote yes, and we are done for tonight.
Yay, good night.
Sir Joseph,
Good night, everyone.
thank you for your
Good seeing you all again.
Good night, Joseph.